It's time for some hostile therapy.
All right, guys, welcome back to Hostile Therapy here on May 26, 2022. Back with Big Red, Alexa Page, and Chris Miles. Back for another episode.
What's going on, family?
Can't call it, man. You know, we've had a sombering type of week with the news just picked up out of Texas Elementary School. You know, the school shooting that we all have heard over the week. And, you know, we were going to have a few other topics we were going to talk about, but I kind of cut those out because I figured this was going to be one of the more important ones to talk about today. Of course, there's been varying reports that came out of Uvalde, Texas Elementary School of how many deaths actually happened. I've heard 19, 20 kids were killed, and 1 to 2 teachers, adults, were killed by an 18-year-old Salvador Ramos. I've heard varying reports why it happened. Him being mad he didn't graduate, him being mad about his childhood, being bullied and picked on. Who he also, before he went into the school, shot his grandmother, if those reports are correct. Allegedly, anyway, I gotta say that too. But then remember the one not too long ago that happened in Buffalo, New York, the mass shooting. And so there's the question today, what we're going to get into in a few, is what in the world are you supposed to do to stop this from continuing, or at least slow this down from continuing, because it's been happening. I mean, increasing over the past couple of decades, and we're trying to figure out why it's increasing, or what can we do to either slow it down or stop it altogether. It's not happening in other countries quite like this. It just seems to be in the United States and our love for guns, our gun culture. So we're going to get into a discussion with that in a few. First thing I'm going to do is I'm going to play a few videos talking about the incident that happened a couple of days ago. Let me pull that up real quick.
Responsible for a deadly school shooting in Texas warned on social media before the attack that he was going to shoot up a school. The governor of Texas, Greg Abbott, said that the gunman, 18-year-old Salvador Ramos, made 3 social media posts before the shooting.
As of this time, the only information that was known in advance was posted by the gunman on Facebook approximately 30 minutes before reaching the school. The first post was to the point of, he said, "I'm going to shoot my grandmother." The second post was, "I shot my grandmother." The third post, maybe less than 15 minutes before arriving at the school, was, "I'm going to shoot an elementary school."
The shooting, which left 19 children and 2 adults dead, has reignited a long-running debate on gun control in the U.S. Many have called for stricter gun buying laws, while others are skeptical that they would stop mass shootings. Democratic candidate running for governor in Texas, Beto O'Rourke, accused Abbott of distracting residents with politics and theater instead of dealing with the proliferation of guns in the state.
Right now, his priority is allowing anyone to carry a firearm in public without a background check. Though law enforcement stopped 35,000 Texans from doing that over the last 5 years, deeming them too dangerous to carry a loaded gun in public, he's now allowing all of them. The question all of you need to ask him is why does he want violent criminals to be able to carry guns on our streets? Go ask him that. He has not had to answer for any of this, and he gets by with this theater. I'm calling it out. I came here to call it out, to stop this, because if we don't stop it, it will continue to happen.
Abbott has dismissed calls for more gun regulation, stating that cities with stronger gun laws aren't safer. Instead, he said Texas needed to do a better job with mental health, as the shooter, Ramos, had a mental health challenge.
Okay, let me play. Got one more video I'm gonna put up here right quick. Some people's response to it.
Head coach of the Golden State Warriors,
Steve Kerr,
is not shy about expressing some opinions about things, and he had something to say about this shooting. I think we have a clip of it. Let's play what Steve Kerr had to say.
We can't sit here and just read about it and go, well, let's have a moment of silence. Yeah, go Dubs, you know. Come on, Mavs, let's go. That's what we're going to do. We're going to go play a basketball game. And 50 senators in Washington are going to hold us hostage. You realize that 90% of Americans, regardless of political party, want background check, universal background check. 90% of us, we are being held hostage by 50 senators in Washington who refuse to even put it to a vote, despite what we, the American people, want. They won't vote on it because they want to hold on to their own power. It's pathetic. I've had enough.
Man responded.
I agree.
And that's Steve Kerr's. You know, I don't know if you know, his father was shot by a terrorist in Lebanon when he was just a young child. So he had experienced it firsthand. Parent be taken away. Yeah.
Oh wow, I didn't know that.
So since 2009, there have been 274 mass shootings, resulting in 1,536 people shot and killed, 983 people shot and wounded. So the question I'm gonna leave up to you guys, and me included, is what do you think is the solution for stopping or at least lowering the number of these mass shootings that have been popping up and increasing over the past couple of decades? Who would like to go first on this?
You know what? I'm gonna take a crack at it first.
All right.
You know, I think one of the first things that might help, it's not going to ever stop. It's just what it is. It's not going to ever stop. But for, you know, just the beginning, I feel like, you know, let me just say this. It starts at home first, right? You know, you have your community, you have your family. But if one of those areas in a child or an adult's life gets messed up, all can fail for that teen, that child, or that person. So they already had a messed up perception. And we talk about the music that our teenagers consume every day, listen to every day, right? Talking about the video games, how easy it is just to run up to somebody in a video game and shoot somebody. It's a game, but in real life, it's not a game. And that's their first course of action, as opposed to speaking or talking or telling, you know, somebody about it. But even when you tell people, a lot of times, they're either not listened to, understood, or they feel like nothing's happening. They don't feel safe or secure. You know, you want to talk about the movies that our children watch, our children and adults watch on a consistent basis, and what's being put out by Hollywood. Talk about our public leadership. Awful. Everything that's going on with the lobbyists going on. Companies own the government. They own the places because the people who are in there really can't afford the things that they want and what they really have. And the lobbyists come in and they have control. So they're really never going to get a cap or control over anything unless, one of the things which is to limit the amount of money that these companies can pump into our government and our leadership. And a lot of that will, things will go back to normal as planned. Right. Let's talk about, and a lot of people never talk about this, right? When it comes to children and fighting and guns and bullying and things of that nature. Again, everybody has a boiling point. It's never talked about a whole bunch, but I've experienced this myself, even with putting my kids through school and vice versa, dealing with parents and people in the neighborhood. But our teachers, our administrators, our principals at these places, these schools, board of directors, a lot of these people don't take things seriously enough, right?
Mm-hmm.
As far as bullying and things of that nature, they don't take it serious enough. And then when things happen to kids, or they try to come in there and talk, they try to do the right thing initially. They go to teachers, they go to the principal, they go to whoever, the counselor. Nothing ever happens. The bullying continues. One of the things that I was going to mention, and then I'm going to let Alexa come in, and I'll circle back around with some of the other things that I'm thinking. When it comes to these administrators, these teachers in school, if it's not documented that they put an effort, even contact the parents, the guardian, whoever that may be, contacted, principals, had meetings with the parents and vice versa, they can lose a percentage of their pay, their pension, or their license and certification to teach based on their role and complicitness contributing to why this happened. I also think that we talk about parents, guardians, or grandmothers, grandfathers. I know you family, but if you can't be there or really talk to or spend any time with them or get them to know and understand certain things, I would say the parents need to be fined. There needs to be some type of written warnings before the child or kid or whoever, teenager, is kicked out of school. There's some alternatives and different things that can kind of make the situation better. And they also need to have family and individual counseling instituted in the household, to try to make things better and be able to reconcile their problems outside of the gun situation. So I'm going to start off with that piece and that aspect. And Alexa, what's your thought on this?
My thoughts are not complex, but then again, they are. I look at it like this: the technology is there, has been there. There's no way in the world we live in a world where it takes 2-3 weeks to get a fishing license, but an 18-year-old can go buy a gun on his 18th birthday. And then on top of that, it's just like, I can post a song on Facebook and I get flagged in like 10 minutes.
Wow.
So I'm just saying the technology is there. The technology is there to pick up these red flags.
That's a good ass point.
The technology has been there. And I feel like if they want the guns so bad, just incorporate a little bit more technology. Because the red flags are there. Trust me, they're there. If you've been posting about, you hate life and all this kind of stuff, like whatever, it should be a system, even if it's connected to social media. Because social media, everybody posts up on social media.
Mm-hmm.
It should be a system. If you're posting all these crazy things for 10 days, no, they shouldn't kick you off. And no, maybe it shouldn't disqualify you from buying a gun. But if you post this for 2 weeks straight, you shouldn't be able to just go buy a gun on the third week.
Mm-hmm.
The technology is there. It's been there. You know, you can't get a passport just like that.
Right.
I'm like I said, you can't even get a hunting license like that. And I mean, you can't even buy a beer. You can't even buy your own damn beer at 18.
Right.
But you can literally go buy a freaking assault rifle and end this many lives just like that. Something is disconnected, and it's not. We should have been paying attention to mental health, because mental health is always going to be an issue. It's not they should have security. Yeah, there should be some more security. But all of this could have been nipped in the bud, at least a lot of it, if they would actually put this technology to use.
Mm-hmm.
To put it to use. Because I know damn well it's ready. Because just like you can type something on your post right now, and I bet you're going to see 5 ads about it in the next 3 days. You can say, I really want some chocolate chip ice cream. And on the side of your little ads on Facebook, you're going to see all these ads for chocolate chip ice cream. And don't tell me you haven't noticed that type of stuff.
Right.
Oh, all day, every day. But
so it's like, let's not act like they're not listening. Let's not act like they're not taking note. Why don't we focus some of that technology towards this type of shit? That's all I'm saying. Right. And the technology has been there.
But Alexa, it's a system. If they don't allow some things to happen or address it immediately, it's what they're going to need for detectives and police officers or the military, the National Guard, or whatever that is. And it's that's crazy.
Or just vet better. I mean, if you're 18, you shouldn't just be able to just go walk in and buy it. Why do you want a gun right when you're 18? What was you waiting to do? Why are you buying a gun on your 18th birthday? It's just common sense. Yeah. And if you want to put a tax on it or something, I don't know. It's just different things you can do. Like, for instance, you can make them pay a $50 fee for just a initial counseling screening, a 10-minute screening. A 10-minute damn screening. They could have just found out some questions like, oh, you didn't graduate. You just went to go live with your parents. The grandpa didn't know he had a gun.
And I still think that's sad, because even when I was listening to the interview, it just seemed like he didn't know what the fuck was going on in his grandson's life, or the father, or whoever it was. Like, he was just so.
Just nonchalant, yeah.
We talk sometime, but not all the time. And that should have been a red flag right there if he told him in a conversation that he misses them talking and having conversations, taking them places when he was younger. I mean, isn't that something?
But the thing is, you can't say that could have been a red flag, because this is what our society has done to us. We have created workhorses that can't even spend time with their kids, or they can't connect, or like, that should not be on the grandparents. I'm sorry,
it shouldn't. It shouldn't be.
It should. This country has the money, it has the resources, and it has the technology to nip this shit in the butt. What the problem is just not a priority. I don't give a damn if every parent was neglectful. I'm not saying it's an excuse, but I'm saying I don't care if every single parent was neglectful. I don't care if half of them were abusive. I don't care if 50% of the kids are getting bullied. We have the technology to slow the shit down. We have it right now today. It exists right now. The red flags exist. It is the government's, because the government is making these guns stay a part of our so-called American culture. We have the right to bear arms, all these arguments, whatnot. And I can see some of it, but then again, there are some points on both sides. But when this type of thing happens, it's just a clear, cut and dry solution. You need to vet better. You need to use our technology for this, instead of putting it towards all this other, selling tickets to the damn moon and all that, whatever all the shit that we coming up with. Coming up with every damn thing. Just sell, cars that you don't got to drive. I mean, all that stuff is great. But we have the technology to stop people from being murdered, on the daily basis. And we're supposed to be the land of this and that and opportunity. But yeah, we have the most mass shootings. We have the most like crazy shit. Like, I mean, I'm still thinking freaking back to the California dude who went on a murder spree because he couldn't get laid. And he's like 19, 20. How old was that dude?
Wow.
Who
Yeah, that's
recorded
crazy.
himself talking about nobody wants to give me sex. Nobody wants to think I'm cute. And I mean, this dude obviously has something going on, but I'm just like, what pisses me off about this is that he didn't go break into his grandpa's closet and take a gun. He didn't go get one from off the streets hot. He went up there and fucking brought one on his 18th birthday.
And he could have used that money.
Pisses me off.
He could have used that money for something else too. And his stress would have been relieved. That's all I need to say.
Oh, wow.
Both of y'all, I mean, I like both of y'all points. Both of y'all made some good points. Only thing I would probably add to that is I think to fix this problem is much like when you make a cake, it requires more than one ingredient. So both of the things you laid out for solutions have to be added together along with some other things. I don't think it can be just vetting. I don't think it can be just morality or fixing what people's values are, but I do think that takes a big chunk of it, Chris, because here's the thing. And when people mention mental health and how we need more avenues to go and seek mental health, how much avenue of mental health was around in the 50s and 60s? Not much. In fact, you probably were ridiculed if you thought about going getting help because people would just call you crazy, right? How lenient were gun laws 56 years ago? All right, very lenient. It's not like people loved each other more 50 and 60 years ago, because we can go look at footage of people getting bitten and beaten by police officers and civil rights and Jim Crow era. So it's not like people were all lovey-dovey then. So, and of course there were bombings and, back then too, but not at the level it is now. Right. So what happened, I think is what we need to look at. Because right now, I think the solutions that most people mention are just a Band-Aid. They cover up the problem, but they don't quite hit the root of the problem. It's like going to get chemotherapy for cancer. You're treating the symptoms, but you're not quite going for the root of the problem, fixing it and eradicating it altogether. So I think it is those things that you mentioned all together wrapped into one. I think there was a morality issue. Like Chris said, 56 years ago, what was not around? Besides easier access to assault rifles as there is now, because there wasn't those kind of weapons around 56 years ago, because that's another point. There wasn't movies and TV shows and rap music or any kind of rock music too. I'm putting that in there too, because they got violence in their music too. It's not so much that it's just the music, it's just the easy access to it. Kids don't have to wait until 5 o'clock until 106 in Park or TRL comes on to watch something talking about suicide or murder or whatever, or sex and drugs or whatever. It's 24 hours that they're bombarded with it. And not that it makes people, and let's not forget the video games too. Chris, I don't know if you were alluding to Grand Theft Auto, where you could just on somebody and shoot somebody.
Rob, steal, whatever you want, go get it.
Right. And of course, there have been studies done over years to say, does that make a person want to go commit violence? I agree. I don't think it does. But what I think it does do is desensitizes people when they want to go kill somebody. They're
It's easier to do it.
Go into the act of doing it because they see less of the value of life. I don't think it makes people want to go do it, but I do think once they have some sort of crazy idea where they felt like they bullied and they're at their tipping point, now they're a little bit easier to go do the act than someone who wasn't bombarded with those type of images growing up. And of course, you got the news. The news has to be blamed for it too. 24 hours of being bombarded with violence on TV and being desensitized to that as well. All these things play a mix into why people, I think, have an increased role with mass shootings now. What's the other part I want to do? It mental health. Like I said, there are more avenues for mental health than there have ever been, and the walls have been broken down for people being shamed for it more than ever before. So, not that I'm saying it should be gotten rid of. Of course, you can increase it, and I'm sure that would help. If somebody were going through something and they felt like they needed to talk to somebody else besides, let's say, this guy that actually did it, besides his grandparents or some other people, he felt like he could talk to somebody in a trusted role and help talk him down. Sure, that would help. That covers the symptoms, but what is the origin of it? I think the major origin of it is the value of life and morality is just in a shithole right now.
Yeah.
People just do not value life as they were as they did before. And it's not. How do you fix that though? Because people are not going to take away these TV images. They love their TV too much. They're not going to take away the news because they want to be informed. They're not going to cut it off at 11 o'clock like they did in the 90s or before that, before CNN and Fox or whatever has been aired in cable news TV. Mm-hmm. People don't want their guns taken away. There's a certain sect that doesn't believe in having strict gun laws because they believe they should have the right to have their weapons in case they feel like the government is going to break into their house and take over, whatever.
Yeah.
And so upon thinking about all these things, including the ones you guys mentioned, great points, I think the argument is they're going for the wrong thing to argue about because it's not happening enough. And what I mean by that is it's not happening to them. So they can go home and sleep in the comfort of their beds and not have to worry about these type of things happening to their families. And I looked at some statistics and I said, well, let me look at these things and maybe there's a better way to argue for restrictions to certain type of weapons. And I looked at this thing and, it's only 0.2% of gun deaths actually come from mass shootings. So it's a small amount of people killed by gun violence and mass shootings. I said, well, maybe they need to argue for something else to make them actually pay attention. Maybe they should look for the suicide rate. 60% of gun deaths happen from suicide. Maybe if there was more restrictions on guns and how they're used, maybe they would actually look into restricting how many people have guns or how people put their guns in safe places so people don't have those kind of acts happen to them, to kill themselves. 33, let's see, let me make sure I got that right. 37% of guns are used in homicide, gun deaths. Maybe that could be used because it was like, if only 0.2% are killed by mass shootings, I don't think they're going to take it serious because they're like, well, there's only a small amount of the population actually being killed by guns. So maybe we need to direct the argument towards other things, suicide and homicide, for people to actually pay attention because this isn't working. And we've been talking about it for, like I said, about 20 some odd years. Let's see, what did Columbine happen? 98, 99?
Yeah.
And it does pull at the heartstrings more because we do have more news coverage of mass shootings, because this is not like mass shootings didn't happen before, but they're happening more than they've ever had before. See the other thing. I'm trying to look at my other notes I had up here. I think 33%. I'm trying to find my other notes. 33% of school shootings, if I'm not mistaken, of all school shootings of all time have happened after 2010. Yeah, 33% of all mass shootings have happened after 2010. A third. This is going back 60 years.
Wow.
A third. That's a 12-year period. Have happened when you're doing now and 60 years ago. That's crazy. More than half occurred after 2000.
And the common denominator between there? the common denominator between 2000 and moving forward is, again, this access to more technology.
Mm-hmm.
When the internet and social media websites and things started to get popular and pop up, more people were more connected. We lost our connectivity with each other on a personal basis, and everything became online. And like, talk about the instant gratification, but what about instant gratification for whooping tail, or you mad at somebody, you airing stuff out, stuff is going back and forth. There's not enough space or time for things to go by, to let that frequency kind of level out and die down.
It's a good point, Chris.
I think that's one of the connective points that we have now, in every day just being bombarded and people feeling like nobody cares about them, nobody cares about, or nobody loves them, has increased that amount too, because now the way you feel about people, it's not about, how we used to say, well, they still say it, that person was a father, they were a mother, a sister, a brother, a cousin, or whoever that is. A lot of families and people across America, although we're family, we don't have that close, tight knit thing anymore. So people are not necessarily looking at, like, I don't give a heck about that person got a child, their mother, blah, blah, blah. They don't care anymore. There's no connective points anymore, most of the time. And
very true.
And people just don't, they don't give a crap no more. It's like whatever they feel, they go right into it. It's like that instantaneous. They have to scratch that itch.
Mm-hmm.
But there's other times, again, where stuff like this happens is because the individual need is not being addressed properly, or never has been addressed at all. And it will, if you don't have that perseverance, or know within yourself, well, you know what, this is getting bigger than me. I need to go get some help. I need to talk to somebody. Something needs to happen, like ASAP. Mm-hmm. So you can't just sit there, and something else may happen to that person that day. And that was the last straw that broke the camel back. That was that last nerve, pressing on your thing, and that's it. And I feel kind of, I just have a saying too. It doesn't matter if I'm in a relationship, I have friends or whatever like that, but if I stop communicating, there's a problem.
Mm-hmm.
If I ain't talking, or we ain't reaching out, we ain't saying nothing, that's a problem. And, just in this particular case, to talk about this young man, they say he was quiet most of the time. When people internalize things most of the time, it's eating away at them. He may have had a great conscience. He may have had patience and perseverance at one time, but that gets eroded away, like sand on a beach. Like land, when it's too much rain, it erodes, it goes away. Mm-hmm. And his only recourse, or he thought his only recourse, this is like somebody wanting to commit suicide. They feel their only recourse of relieving themselves from this pain or this torment is either two ways: either hurt somebody else, or take myself out of here, so I ain't got to feel this no more. Mm-hmm. I don't have to go through this anymore. So I think our connectivity is a great point that we need to address.
I give you.
But I do want to say too, and we can circle back around one more time, or whatever that may be, how you want to do it, Red, is I just have some more things I want to say about, increasing the penalty for committing reckless crimes or crimes of passion, where you could walk away and leave them alone. negligence or accidental shootings. I didn't mean to shoot the person. I was trying to scare them. I saw, I think it was on your platform, Red. And then I saw it somewhere else too, where a girl was on live telling other females, "This is my man."
Oh yeah. Yeah.
And like she had a 9mm in her hand, a Ruger. She had something that I couldn't tell what it was at the time, and she actually shot in the house. Was like, I won't. She like, yo, I'm just telling you, I won't miss. And then she goes over there to her man, or whoever he was to her. So I don't know, whatever he got caught doing or whatever like that. She felt like, oh, I'm going to end this today. Like, it ain't happening to me no more. If you feel you want to go ahead and mess with him, then hey, there's repercussions with that. And she even, she pointed the gun at him, held it to the back of his head, tell him to say, you better say it. You better kiss me. You better do. And what could he do?
What she said.
Right.
For sure.
So she went to sleep.
We're in a relationship.
That's crazy.
Wow. But again, we have to look at some of our actions too as individuals and people. What contributed to her acting like that? You know what I'm saying? I know it just ain't come out the blue. Has he had a history of hurting her, treating her bad, or cheating? Does she have a history of abuse or things of that nature that comes to this point? That's a lot of things we don't know, but we look at the situation as it is, like pop up the news today, and we don't know nothing about what happened prior to how and why this came to a point. But again, people don't care about embarrassing themselves or hurting other people, putting stuff out there like that. And it's just another example. And people look at this and start copycatting the whole situation all over again. And I'm just like, wow, like, man, don't do that, lives get cut short. Your access to freedom and all the things you enjoyed doing prior to that moment. So I just think, people say mental health. As far as I understand, mental health is not what contributes to a lot of its maturity. It's personal maturity and it's emotional health to me. Not mental, it's emotional. Because your brain can't control your emotions. When they well up too much, it's on and popping sometimes. But, if you have that personal growth, that spiritual growth, a lot of these things won't happen. So I think even our disconnectivity with a higher source, whether you say God, Allah, I'm a spiritual person, whoever, a lot of people just don't have that anymore. Or so.
Yeah. I kind of feel like, I know y'all said that it's just a Band-Aid, the technology thing and all that. And yeah, we do have to look at the mental health and all that. But, I look at it like, for instance, like, the old school well, not even the old school, some of the new, the treadmills. I don't know if y'all familiar with the treadmills, how they got the little emergency little key thing or whatever. I still got an old one. So I got the one that has the one where you pull it out, that motherfucker gonna stop, right?
It still work though, right?
Yeah.
It still work, but if you take that thing off, that emergency, it'll immediately stop. I feel like the government has that. Now I know
they definitely got that.
We have to work on.
That's never gonna happen though.
A lot of, like we said, the mental health, the family unit, the talking. For goodness sake, people don't even eat at the dinner table together no more. And I know that sounds kind of corny and cliche, but when do you have like actual in-depth conversations with your family?
Yeah, it's hard.
And now not just your kid. If it's even just you and your kid, I even have to think about that. Like, I need to just start sitting down and eating with my son. Like, even though, we talk sometimes when we eat and all this, but like sitting and just having a conversation and just looking at each other and eating and just what's on your mind. Not that we don't talk, we talk all the time, but it's something about a routine.
It's a difference.
And it's like, I know that if something is on my mind, I can get it off. I can get it off my chest here, or I can just come out and say it. And I've been really working hard at communication, as a parent. So, I'm a single mom, just one child. So I didn't have, I did this with my first, second, third, so I definitely made a lot of mistakes I wish I would have did early on. But I'm just saying that when I realized, like, okay, this is what reaction I get out of that. And, a lot of people don't have that. They just do what happened to them, and they figure we just going to roll this dice and we going to sink or swim.
Yeah.
And we don't have a lot of structure for that because right now, most people live in check to check. Now look at the economy, it's just, that's the last thing on your mind when you're really trying to survive and you feel like I'm up here busting my butt, going crazy just to put food on the table. The last thing you're going to say is, now that I only have 20 minutes to myself before I need to get to bed to wake up and do it all over again. How's your day, Johnny?
Right.
This is what society we live in. And, it's going to take a while to do that. So I'm saying the first thing is first, we need to use that emergency stop.
Mm-hmm.
And we need to do that because there are ways, like these databases are crazy.
Mm-hmm.
I bet you right now, and I'm not, of course, suggesting anybody do this, disclaimer, but I'm just saying, like, if the president or anybody in, politics high up was coming to your town and they pulled up and they were going to speak somewhere, within an hour.
Mm-hmm.
If you could post something 30 minutes before they got on stage about, oh, I'm taking his ass out or something like that,
Mm-hmm.
they're going to be ready for you.
Yeah.
They're going to be ready for you. They're going to be ready to stop you at the door. They might greet you at the door before you're getting in the car to get ready to go. So, like, it's the priority. It's not the lack of resources. It's not the lack of technology. It's not the lack of anything but priority. And
agree.
we got the money to do it because look what else we're doing. So
they just sent all this money over somewhere we ain't really got a bit poking our nose into, and it happens all the time. But they can't help and support the people that they have here, which is it's mind-boggling to me. But and one other thing I look at too, growing up and seeing a different, growing up around different races of people, I really started to look at people's culture.
Mm-hmm.
I know there's individuals in between in that culture that are different. They're not quite like that. They don't want to follow the culture. They're going to do their own thing. But if you look at the type of culture and how we shame or guilt or torment each other because of, we want to love or we want to talk about something that hurt us or somebody cries or, they're going through something. It's hard to talk to cultures as a whole, specific cultures as a whole, because you're going to get tore. I mean, you already going through something, but you open your mouth, you can get tore down to the growth. You get it tore down. You know what I'm trying to say.
Mm-hmm.
But we have to start looking at how we raise our sons and our daughters in this culture. We got to do better and a little bit different than what the culture says we should be doing, or how we should act and respond to whatever that is. So that's another issue that we have that has to be addressed or changed. I don't know how, but I just think the recognition of, and then having the people in your culture as well, your sons, your daughters, and different people, to be able to trust, trust each other, to be able to go and talk to somebody who really loves you and has your back, as who is not biased. And I kind of look at this situation that happened with this young man. It's terrible. It's sad. But it almost, I don't know what his situation was when he was home before he went to move with his grandmother. But obviously, it had got to a point where, okay, we're going to come see you, but you got to get out of here.
All right.
So, yeah.
Go ahead. I was trying to interrupt you.
Oh, I'm done. Yeah,
okay. I was going to say, and to piggyback off you and Alexa's point, like I said, because y'all making some good points. I'm going to add this part in here. I think if you're looking back decades ago and up to this point, what is one of the biggest things that has broken down over each decade is family.
Mm-hmm.
The full family, the 2-parent household, the takes a village to raise a family type thing. I think that has, well, I know it's destroyed.
Gone.
And I think that is another thing that plays a part in that. It's not the only thing, but it's another ingredient that has played a part in the uptick of mass shootings, as well as other crimes that are happening now, and the uptick of crimes that are happening now. But
And why was he out of school?
well, he was done. I think. For what
No,
I
they said
heard,
he didn't go to school and he didn't
For
graduate.
a whole year.
Oh,
For a whole
okay.
year.
So I'm just
Yeah.
like, you just chilling at grandparents' house?
Yeah.
Nobody put their foot in your ass, or where was the counselor to come knock on the door and say, look, you either gonna go to an alternative school.
Well, he was
or you
18
gonna
though. I
come
don't
back
think
to
he had
school?
to. Yeah, once you're 18, I don't think you have to anymore.
Well, no, he was already out for a year though. So I'm just saying he was out of school,
Yeah. So
just chilling, and I seen little things. I'm not trying to act like I'm no psychologist or nothing, but in the interview, little things was tinkering off when I heard certain things that the grandpa said. And she was like, he told me, I remember you used to do that. Of course, everybody was like, okay, that probably contributed to his, whatever.
Hindsight.
Then he left from his mom's, but then he said he just had a birthday and my wife took him out to eat. And I'm thinking to myself, he's been telling you that he misses his relationship with you, yet your wife took him to dinner for his birthday to wherever they went, Applebee's.
Like where was you at?
Yeah.
You didn't.
So you had your wife taking out, and he said my wife, which is probably not his grandma, because he said my wife, so it's probably not even his grandma. So who knows what situation he's going through mentally? Which it is what it is, because that was their family dynamic. But at what point do you say, let's look at how he's processing this or that? Because he hasn't been in school. He's uprooted from his mom's. He's not really having a close relationship with anybody in that house because he's not talking. And when he does talk, he's talking about the good old days. Even for his actual birthday, his grandpa didn't take him out. His grandpa's wife took him out. So, he's probably just floating.
Wow.
And then there's no counselors or nothing. Like, I remember a time where,
I couldn't miss a day or two.
Right.
Before they noticed.
Exactly. They knock on your door, truancy.
Or they send a letter, or somebody make a phone call. It was like, Chris hasn't been in school for 2 days or 3 days. Hey, what's going on? Is he okay? Or vice versa. I know in the county that I live in now, they were very good at that. But I know every school district is not good at that. People are not going to follow up. And even social workers and people who, person support, they supposed to have their appointment, they make their appointment this month. And you didn't make a call, or go, some people don't. But I know some right now.
Mentors.
Yeah.
There's a lot of neighborhoods don't even have, like, for instance, I remember a community center on every other corner when I was growing up.
Oh, that's
you have to choose from Metro Parks, Al Davies, People's Community Center. We had all these different community centers, and to the point where we was like rivaling each other, our dance team against their dance team. So, it was like there was always something there, but the people that worked there, they wasn't no professional counselors or nothing, but they gave a damn.
Yeah, they tried.
And if they found out somebody, like, dropped out or got pregnant or whatever it was, they was gonna show up at the house if they didn't see you in a couple of weeks.
But
like, let me help you get into our alternative school, or what's going on? What are you doing? Are you gonna keep the baby? Well, then let us help you. If you're gonna, we can get you a baby shower. We can help you. You're not alone. Like, we had those type of people in our community. Because I remember growing up and what you would call an underserved neighborhood. My neighborhood was an urban underserved neighborhood. Yet there was community. Yet there was people there who realized, like, we all out here trying to make it. We are all out here trying to make it. And at the end of the day, even if it's just one or two of them ladies in the neighborhood, or one or two of them, everybody's uncle. We have people who didn't have no kids, but would throw barbecue bashes, like every other month for all the kids, or people who would, buy school backpacks for everybody, or even churches.
So do you see the slow deterioration?
It's none of that no more.
So it's a slow deterioration of, you might have one in an area now, like the YMC. I mean, like the boys club, the girls club. Those are far and in between, and for people to get to them now is very hard. It's just not on a bus line anymore. You're gonna need a car to get there, and it's not in the neighborhoods and places anymore where the people really need it. It's not there. They even took away. I remember this in Philadelphia, Delaware, and I know here. They have taken away, the schools are places that people can go, like a trade school, or where they can go and learn something and get something and get a job immediately, or learn something or do something. Outside of that, a lot of that stuff has gone and disappeared. So I'm seeing this systematic deterioration of what really kept a lot of our people off the streets or had them into things and sports like that, whereas people donated. But now you look at high schools, you look at all these different places now, there's a lot of financial responsibility on the parents, whereas they might have had to give either 0 or maybe up to 10% of the cost of doing something now. And now it's almost like 100%.
Yeah.
And the amount of resources going to these places in education, high schools and elementary schools and stuff like that, every year, if you look at the budget, they cut in another 2%, and that's a lot of money when you talk about the financial aspect of it, the number and size that they have, and every year it's cut. So
wow,
this is done on purpose, and this is where we're at now, because there's no avenue of places for people to go anymore for assistance to help the children. And knowing your parents got to work a job or two, or run a business or do something different to try to make ends meet, there's nobody there in the middle anymore to really help out like it used to be. So
it's just so crazy you mentioned that, because I actually had a freaking assignment I had to do day before yesterday, talking about it's an elective class, but anyways, art history. And we were talking about, and we had to talk about, what does art mean and how does it become important in you, and, history, all that. Anyway, long story short, my point in my assignment was that, you have to learn appreciation for art. Because I use an example as, I grew up in Tacoma, Washington, right? So anyways, there's my neighborhood was called Hilltop, and there's a school called Jason Lee. But they had this glass blowing program, like blowing glass in the schools, an after school program. Anybody from any school can go there. And it was like middle and high school. But it was an after school program. It was completely funded. But you know who funded it? Dale Chihuly. Now, I didn't know who the hell he was. And I really, to be honest, didn't care at the time. I just knew, obviously, he's a glass blower that did okay. And he's trying to give back to this neighborhood because this is where he's from. A lot of people from Tacoma, or went to school there. Bill Gates went to stadium on Hilltop. So, like a lot of, so that's where people came from. So, I wasn't surprised. But then somehow or another, I just wanted to Google, like, let me see how big he was. I knew later on he was big just from some of the kids in the program. But I Googled it, and he is literally number one with top glass blowers in the world. And the crazy thing is, I think about how much glass and just instructors, and I'm like, now that I think about it, that must have been an expensive program to run. Because these kids were able to make these pieces and, anyway, circle all the way around. Like I said, it was an underserved neighborhood. It's totally different now from when I lived there, and especially when I first moved there. But I remember, like, a little bit before I moved, I was working in Nordstrom's, and this one girl came up there and she noticed me, and I knew she was familiar, but like I said, I wasn't that into it. It was just like a hangout spot. I never wanted to get that close to the. I made like 3 things. I made like 3 little glass blow things. I wasn't making stuff every day like some of them were. But anyway, she was like, oh, you look familiar, da, da, da. And I'm just like, no, I didn't go to Jason Lee. And she's like, well, did you go to Glasgow? And I'm like, oh yeah, that's where you see me at. So anyway, long story short, this girl had been traveling around the world, okay? And then she was like updating me. She was just like, so-and-so opened one down here, and so-and-so opened one over here, and he's ahead of this program. And I'm like, these are some straight hood kids. Hood kids. And she's naming off all these people who have not only made a name for themselves as glass blowing artists, have also opened other programs, also did this, also did that. And then I was like, so what are you doing here? If you're over there. She's like, I'm just here, visiting family. She's like, I'm leaving in a couple of weeks. Here's my, information. If you know anybody who wants to donate books, I open little libraries in Africa every time I go back. Every time I go back, we open a little library. Like, these are kids that were just straight up nothing to do in a underserved and at risk, not just underserved, because there's a difference between underserved and at risk. We had a very high crime and murder rate. Okay, lots of gangs, lots of drugs, all that. So you're talking about at least 10 to 12 kids that have made great lives for themselves doing something like glass blowing. Just one art, one focus, one program.
Right.
Well,
just
Alexa,
think about.
Here's the thing with that, Alexa. Like, I don't disagree with that, it being able to help disenfranchised young people. Here's one other point I have to interject with. Most of these mass shootings are not done by us. Most of them are done by National Institute of Justice. Statistics say most of them are done by Caucasian people. 52% are done by Caucasian people. Only 20% are done by Black people, which I'm actually surprised is even that high.
I don't think it's that high.
8% is reportedly done by Latinos. 6.4% are done by Asians, 4.2% Middle Eastern, and 1.8% reportedly done by Native Americans. So, I mean, and I don't disagree with what you're saying, Alexa. But what about the authorities actually doing this? What should be done for them? Because I don't think they're in the same predicament that we're in, but we're not the ones who are really doing the mass shootings.
No, I don't mean. Well, the girl I'm talking about is actually white, but I'm just saying, what I'm saying is the thing is that we have to look at each person just as, are they being engaged or not? It don't matter if you're Black, white. It don't matter if you're in a rich neighborhood or a poor neighborhood. These kids need to be, and these teens need to be engaged, and they need to be observed, especially right now. They need to be observed, because right now it's like we're running on fumes. We are running on fumes when it comes to communication. Most parents are grabbing for rope. By the time these kids start turning 13, 14, 15, they're grabbing for rope to even have a way of communication. So I'm saying, even in the high-end neighborhoods, whatever, that kid still can't come home every day and just go to the room and close the door. That can't happen. It doesn't matter if you are making 6 figures or just on welfare. There needs to be access to all of these programs, because I can tell you now, in the same program I'm talking about, oh yeah, there was all kind of kids. Now, yeah, it was in our neighborhood, but best believe there was people coming and drop their kids off because they must have did their research and realized this is a free glass blowing program that is sponsored by Dale Chuli, and I'm signing your ass up if I got to drop you off and pick you up. So we have people from other neighborhoods coming too. So I'm not saying that it's, of course, race has something to do with it, because obviously we don't even have access to a lot. A lot of our kind we don't keep guns in the house, and if they do, it might be one little pistol under the daddy's hiding place or something, or the mama's hiding place. It ain't like we got a collection and an arsenal in the glass with a moose head on this side and a bear head on this side, and we don't usually do that, and so now they could just go and I'm here, Billy, here, Tommy, passing down guns because they want to go do a revolution or something. And so, that's not something that we typically have to worry about. But this is not even the case here. This dude went and brought it on his 18th birthday. This is where that emergency stop comes in. I mean, if you're under 21, you shouldn't even be able to get one for 6 months. You wait at 18 years, you can't wait another 6 months. I feel like
if you're able to go into the military and shoot a gun, then that's going to be people's argument for not having to wait until they're 21.
But you don't just get a gun the first day of basic training either.
True.
So, it's like the thing is just if you waited all the way up until you were 18, then wait another 6 months. You got to go through extra vetting. And if it costs money, then damn charge them. You got to have a gun so damn bad at 18, then we're going to have to charge you this extra $200 because we got to vet.
Right. Well, that
there's no way in the world you
need
a gun on your 18th birthday. That just don't even make sense.
That should be the second line of defense. Besides what the community does, the family does, how they render or raise that kid up into adulthood, that should be the first line. The second line, yes, I do think laws need to be more stringent. But take a look at Buffalo. Buffalo, New York, they have one of the most stringent gun laws in the country, if not the most stringent. I think they have the lowest capita per gun rate in America, if I'm not mistaken. And they vetted the guy that shot up people in the grocery store in Buffalo. They vetted him. They even had red flags come up, but they just let it bypass.
They didn't do anything. Why?
He had a charge against him. I think he had a domestic violence charge against him, and they still allowed him to get a gun.
When I say vet, I mean including the red flags.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. I mean, the most stringent one in the nation.
But again, it's privilege. If I did that as a teenager or did whatever as a teenager, guess what? I probably wouldn't have got it. I mean, it's just the reality of what it is. It's just the reality of what it is. And I knew I would not have made it from that store after shooting people. For sure.
No, you definitely
I wouldn't have made it. No. I wouldn't have made it. So again, that has to be another aspect of when you see something like that happen, they need to act and go check out, investigate what's going on, even if they remove his rights or remove the guns from the home for a certain period of time. He bought them, give them back, but that's going to let him know, irregardless of your belief system or whether that is, you want to alert. And that would also deter people from when you get on any type of list on something like that, that's going to deter you. You're like, I believe in that, but I ain't doing it.
Right.
And, I also feel too that if your child shoots another child or children in a school or whether it's in the public, regardless of age, color, gender, grade, and if it's not justified, like somebody, like self-defense. Like somebody pulls something out on you, they missed it, you shot them back or something like that. But it shouldn't even come to that point. You see what I'm saying?
Right.
I mean, if it's not self-defense, justifiable, hold your ground or whatever like that, sometimes I really feel, and I just say this over again, when you hit people in the pockets or you take away their ability to earn money or make money, you're going to start paying attention to your child or children. You're going to start paying attention to what's really going on, as opposed to letting the streets raise them or, really giving them that proper guidance as opposed to just letting them do what the hell they want to do. I really feel like if they have access to Social Security or whatever, you're not going to be able to get that. You're not going to be able to have that. That should go to the victim's family or next of kin who will be there to raise that person, that child. I mean, when you hit people in their pockets like that, or they know that's going to happen, you'll be more active in the home, because why risk it?
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
But you know what's going to happen with that, Chris? And I'm just playing devil's advocate on this.
Right.
You're going to have the people who are poor and disenfranchised unable to protect themselves. And you're going to have the top 1%, the 5%, who are going to be able to pay those fines or be able to live comfortably without having to worry about Social Security. The only ones who are actually going to have guns.
Mm-hmm.
That's what's going to happen. That's going to be the argument too.
Yeah, but something has to be done. I mean,
or
it's like
look at
police
this.
officers.
Look at this. If he's registered to the grandpa, right? The grandpa and the grandma. All I'm saying is I keep going back to technology, and I keep going back to red flags and the web, because I know how much of a hand the government, Big Brother, whoever you want to call it, has on us. They know they know everything about us, and even if it's social media, you know, they're going through all these other lawsuits to get information. They got this damn information, and they know they got it. So, like, for instance, if you got someone under 21 years old living in your home, not only should they not be able to get a gun the same day or on the 18th birthday, the person who owns that home should be notified. Mm-hmm. That grandpa, whoever owns the home or whoever's renting it, should be notified. And that's another cost they can pay. Okay, that's another cost that the buyer can pay. They need to be notified. You can send a notary, whatever you want to do, send an alarm, whatever. Get their work number, text number. I mean, they can send an Amber Alert to everybody's phone right now. You know, just like that. They can send a weather alert to anybody's phone. Whoever owns that home should be immediately notified. This person is registered under your home, under your care. You know, he's a minor, whatever, or 18, even under 21. He's registered in your home, and he has a gun. Hell, even with husband and wife. Mm-hmm. If one of them buys a gun, the other person should be able to be notified. You don't know what the hell that dude or that female is planning. You know?
Yeah.
They got the technology to do all this. It's just straight information, because these little heads ups, these little things, they can add up, they can connect the dots, and they have the technology to do it right now. So boom, you turn 18, you get a gun. They can connect it to a post on social media that says,
"Oh no, little Johnny won't do that. Little Sarah won't do that."
Well, I'm saying they can get a system that connects these red flag pings, and as soon as they connect 2 or 3 of them, you're not getting no gun. Period.
See, we don't know our children like we know, or we think like we know them all the time. Trust me.
I know we don't. That's what I'm saying. That's why the government needs to come up with a system. Just like if I mention ice cream right now, I'm gonna see 3 posts on the side. Use that same damn technology.
How do you get them to care? Yeah, we know they got, but how do you get them to care? That's been the issue over the past 20 years or so. How do you get them to care enough?
We gotta press.
I'll tell you how.
Whether they care.
I can't tell you over there. I can't tell you over there though.
Oh, okay. Ooh, yeah.
Honestly, they don't have to care. They just need to act.
Get snatched away off camera. Chris, don't do that.
They don't have to care. They just need to act. That's it.
There's probably going to have to be some sort. What's crazy is the irony is it's probably going. Gun violence might have to be the way for them to actually care. And I'm not advocating for it. Right. Looking in the camera now, I'm not advocating for somebody to go storm the Capitol. But look at what happened 2 years ago, right? George Floyd. Mm-hmm. There had been gun violence. I mean, there have been police killing minorities for decades, you know, and it's been caught on camera. Actually, I've seen worse on camera. You know, people. He didn't get killed by a gun, of course, but I've seen people get shot and die slowly on camera. Why all of a sudden did that one matter? Because everyone had to pay attention. People were home; they couldn't go to work, and they had to look at it and they had to talk to other people about it. They had to talk to family, friends, black, white people, whatever. They all had to actually sit down and talk to other people, and
it was slow and brutal.
It had an emotional pull on people that couldn't get gotten before because there was no sports, there was no people that were able to go to work and just forget about it and talk about something else. They had to deal with it. The senators don't have to deal with it, and it doesn't happen enough for them to care. So there's no emotional pull on them. So how do you get the emotional pull on them?
The only
Besides it happening to them, because I'm not advocating for violence versus them. Let's get that straight. I'm on camera saying that, so I don't want to get snatched off and this channel pulled. Not advocating for violence.
That's a disclaimer.
Yeah,
yes,
like
all three of us. I'm advocating for all three of us.
And we don't advocate that. But the only time that I've ever seen so far, and this even happened years ago when crack first came out.
Perfect point.
And we know what happened with that.
Go ahead.
They did not care.
With this.
They didn't care until Suzanne got on crack, and it devastated their household. Stealing, robbing, killing, and HIV and all those different things happened to come into effect, or one of their family members died because of crack. Now it's we got to do something.
It's an issue now because it pulled on their emotional strings.
For sure. So
and as I stated before, it's only happened to like 0.2% of all gun related violence or murders or whatever. That's a small amount, even though it feels like a lot more when it's seen on TV and children are involved. It feels like a lot. It feels like we have nowhere we can go without violence happening. It's a small amount, but every death means something. It has value to it, except to the people who it matters most, the people in the Senate, who are the ones who are going to pass the bills for it. That's what matters the most. That's the people who you got to pull on. And how else can you pull on? Alexa, I think, might have hit on it earlier. The pockets. The pockets got to get hit on. If you can't pull on the heart, you got to pull on that part on the side of your pants.
Yeah, because when they got to pay and they know it's going to come out their tail. Yeah, it's going to come out their tail in the end. And the parents. And I mean, it's not just the parents and the teachers or whatever else. They need to really start incentivizing this shit, I mean, let's keep it real. They put a reward out for all these other, things that's going on. If you know somebody that has a gun and they text you that they're going to do some crazy stuff, incentivize that shit. If you report a credible threat and a firearm is collected, incentivize it.
Yeah, I mean, it's...
You think they're not going to snitch on it? Because what did he tell the girl? I got a little surprise. Are you going to repost my guns? Did you see that part?
No, I didn't see that. You talking about the shooter from Texas? Yeah. I didn't see that.
He texts this girl, I guess he likes, that's following his post.
Oh, okay.
He posts a picture of the guns. Nothing happens. So he texts her, did you see my post? Yeah, what's the point? Are you going to repost my guns?
Yeah, that's now he's looking for attention.
But let me play a song that I don't have the rights to.
It has a word with gun in it. You're gonna get pulled off.
Right. So let's add this other aspect, right?
Right.
Now you got these RICO charges for these rappers, the people who have been in prison, not supposed to, or committed some crime, went to prison or went to jail, come out, they're not supposed to have access to guns, whether they own them guns or not, right? Now you got people who are in these videos and like, oh, I'm in my man's video, and you holding a gun and you dancing and mobbing around and sitting in the video. Now that can be used to prosecute you. Right. You violated probation. You did this. You did that. So why can't the same?
Right. I see where you're going with this, Chris.
No, but the problem is they are doing it.
Mm-hmm.
But this gentleman is on here posturing.
It's entertainment.
And now he's carrying out something, but nothing was done. What those posts was, supposedly. But again, like you said, you post music or you say so many certain words or keywords, they shutting down your post or they're blocking it or whatever that is.
Right.
So again, it's what they want to allow and not allow. It's, you know, not only for trauma purposes, but it also for people who, certain types of people who are viewing it are looking at that as either entertainment or good. Go ahead, shoot yourselves. But one less person I got to be involved with on a, you know, on a daily basis. That type of deal. So,
do you think people should go to jail for that? Or, you know, yeah, I'll say it. You think people should go to jail? Like, he's getting in trouble for his lyrics. And so if someone makes a post talking about violence against someone, or even talking about guns, or even posting guns, because rap is supposed to be entertainment. You know, I'm sure there's some realism in there somewhere, but it's supposed to be entertainment for the most part.
Right.
Social media is supposed to be about people's lives and what they're going through in their life. And, you know, and of course, you know, people are putting entertainment too. You know, people are not always telling the truth, but that's also rappers too. So should social media posts be subject to that kind of watching, you know, Big Brother watching, where you can get in trouble. You can go to prison because that could be viewed as a threat or a potential threat just for posting a gun, just for even saying the word gun or talking about violence against somebody. Do you think it should go that far? Because then now you got a freedom of speech thing going on.
Now
that you're inciting riots or whatever.
And that's the issue, because they pick and choose who and whom they want to attack, who they want to prosecute, or who they want to make somebody's life miserable. They pick and choose.
What would you do?
I don't think that should be, but when you are specifically posing a threat or danger, or you speak hate speech, or like hurt them, beat them up, kill that person or something like that. Now, whether you're doing it, now you're radicalizing other people to do the thing that you said, especially if you have a big platform or people are already angry or just whatever that is. Somebody might have one too many drinks and one too many beers one night. And they're feeling some kind of way. They had something, they get into the emotion, they get into their feelings about something that they didn't even have nothing to do with. But he gets in the car and turns this on. Now all of a sudden, that was the last straw. You know, now you feel I got to go hurt somebody because my girl broke up with me today, and I don't like a specific type of race or gender. Now I'm gonna go take them out, or go, you know, that has to be changed. There's such thing as freedom of speech, but I don't think in that capacity. You know, like if somebody does something and they say, it's almost like if you go to the bar, right? Now, this has happened here in Virginia. There's been cases where they started asking people, what was the last place you came from before you got your DUI or before you got in this accident and killed somebody? And they take a restaurant, whatever they came from. Now they started making the restaurant or owners or whoever liable, because you got bartenders and nobody who wasn't paying attention, right? Before this happened, you let them go. Although they weren't responsible or took the keys and did what they had to do. But again, is the bar owner or whoever responsible? You see what I'm saying? But that has been in several cases here.
I don't think that's right.
No, I'm not saying that. I think that might be right, because people need to, although that's your bread and butter, pay attention. You know, somebody's getting too fired up, or
but see, as a bartender and as a cocktail waitress, you know, in the past, I can tell you right now that if somebody really wants that extra drink, they're gonna figure out how to get it. If they got to get somebody else to get it, or if they had a little bottle in the car.
Well, that's different.
Or if they went in the car, but see, how do you know? They say I left here, and then they had enough to sit in the car.
Okay.
They had enough to sit in the car because they figured, hey, this is gonna be the after party, and then they get into a crash, or something happens, or somebody doesn't make it home, or, you know, worst case scenario, somebody passes away, you know, because they mixed up some drugs or something, like, you know, something crazy like that. That's why they need to do a thorough investigation. Now, if they did overserve them at a bar, that's different. But I
Mhm.
can tell you right now, like
But
I've been
but,
accused
I
of over serving somebody, and I know damn well they had a bottle in the room.
mhm.
You
Yeah.
know, this is on the cruise
So
ship. So I'm just like
right.
you got a bottle in your room. You going back and forth. How do I know you're going to the bathroom or whatever? Like
But again, I really think like if we watch people's behaviors to say, hey, look, so and so come, don't serve that person no more. Now, if he goes other places to get another drink or go do something, that's on them. But at least you have an opportunity to prove and present that.
Mhm.
You know what I'm saying? And that's why they have video. That's why I got certain things, and you have a chance to prove that. But this is how all this is happening now in today's society because of everybody's watching. Government, you got companies watching this. They getting our data and our information, and stuff is being put together right now. And again, it happens in different ways. Now this has happened to be coming into this point where
right.
it's entertainment. I went to the bar for entertainment, whatever that may be. But now it's being used against you. So I don't necessarily agree
such
with
a
it.
fine line.
Yeah, it's a
Such
fine line for sure.
Because you got to look at first of all the integrity of the person, then the integrity of the loved ones.
Mm-hmm.
Because some people just so mad they want somebody to pay if something happens.
Right.
Somebody drive drunk and hit my loved one. I'm still be wanting somebody to pay. Like, messed our lives up. This person
Right.
can't work, or this person can't walk, or this person is dead, or whatever it is. You want to blame somebody. And 9 times out of 10, the real person responsible ain't got a pot to piss in or a window to throw it out of. So the
Right.
first thing you're going to do is look at, well, why did they serve you that much at the bar? Or, why did the bartender do that? Or why did, you want to think about who does have some money that I can sue or that I can,
Mm-hmm.
And so you got to look at it from the business aspect too.
It's opportunists.
I plan on opening a lounge and a restaurant and all this. So it's like, this puts people out of business, just from these little lawsuits like that. It can shut them all the way down when it's not even their fault. I feel like
and they have done that from even places that it wasn't because of somebody over drinking. It's because people who lived in the same neighborhood or had on the wrong color that night got shot out in the parking lot, and now they deem your place a dangerous place
and shut it down.
and shut it down. It's happened so right.
Yeah.
And you spend all that money and time for nothing. But again, I think specific places are targeted because it could happen in a predominantly Caucasian neighborhood or area, and they're open again in the next day or two after the
somebody
investigation
not
is
watching
over.
their drink. Somebody dropped something in there, and then they wondering why, Suzanne didn't come home, and then they find her 2 days later, barely alive, and they like, what happened? Everybody always wants someone to blame, and I'm not saying that the bars and the servers and all these people are never at fault, but it's like it comes a time where you got to be responsible, and you just got to know sometimes shit happens. But what we can do,
we can't rely on these crazy people to be responsible for it.
You sure can. And I feel like we got to pressure these people to start using this damn technology they got and quit pretending like they're not keeping tabs on us. Like, for instance, and I ain't gonna lie, this kind of scared the hell out of me. It didn't scare me. It really pissed me off, honestly. I'm in a bathroom, okay? Bathroom. Regular bathroom, the Alexa things are all over the house. They know me. They know my voice. So they only respond when I ask a question. Well, they only respond when they ask a question now, because I guess they train them. I guess enough people must complain, so they only respond when I ask.
It's your family,
like a very specific question. But anyway, I was like on the phone or something, and I said something about some. It was something I wanted to try. It's some kind of like, I'm a foodie. I was talking about some kind of certain type of potato chip or something that came out or something like that. Anyways, I didn't say Alexa one time. And I'm having a personal conversation. Do you know, like, I'm in the actual bathroom, and as soon as I hang it up, About 2 minutes after that, a chick thing comes up there.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it always
Yeah.
does that to everybody.
You was
It's
listening.
It does that to everybody.
You was listening.
Yeah, the technology is definitely there. They definitely
You was
probably
listening to my personal conversation, and I didn't even say nothing.
they're probably listening to you right now. But
I'm sure. And that's the crazy thing. And so, I mean, after a while, it's just like, hell, this is where we live. You got to accept it. But my thing is, the least we can do is use it to our advantage.
it's never gonna happen unless they got the emotional connection to it. You know, like that's how we're gonna get them to do that. You know, but let's just throw in another argument right here, because one argument, I'll play devil's advocate on it again, that I hear a lot is you can set these stringent laws, but they're going to still get the guns anyway, whether by illegally, you know.
Right.
And that may be true.
Mm-hmm.
Let's not go with the proactive part quite yet. Right now, as of now, 77% of the guns that are used in mass shootings were purchased legally. So it's not people just purchasing them illegally or anything. Though that can happen. We can be proactive with that. I won't say that much later, but let's just think about that now. Majority of the guns that are purchased legally, 77%, 13% are purchased illegally, and then the rest are either maybe stolen from or taken from a parent that has them in the house by the kid, or maybe given as a gift or so. So focusing on that, most people, when they think about these mass shootings, they think of these assault rifles. That's the main way to do it. And I understand, because assault rifle can go off and kill 30 people within a couple seconds. So it makes sense for people want to go after that. But I think we're actually glorifying that gun a little bit too much, because most of the mass shootings that do happen by handguns, which is, again, playing devil's advocate, why people who are gun advocates are fighting versus these laws to become more stringent, whatever, because they think eventually that's what they're going to come after. Let's see, I have 98 incidents, 146 of them were done by handguns. Out of 50 incidents, 58 were done by assault rifles. I have 26 incidents, 30 of them were done by shotguns. That's a big amount. The rifles are almost a third of what's done by handguns. And see, the argument is going to be like, if they're going to try to take assault rifles, which are doing the second most of the mass shootings, then eventually they're going to come towards the handguns. So now, what would be the argument to make them feel at ease to be able to give these type of laws that will allow people to go through background checks, or just ban them altogether? Because I'll give you another statistic. In 1994, Bill Clinton passed a law where he made it illegal to get these AR-15s or whatever, assault rifles, and it lasted about 10 years. Mass shootings dropped down expeditiously after that. Before 94, they were high. After 2004, when the ban ended, they rose again, as we have noticed. Maybe we just go ahead, Chris.
You know, I'm not. It's not the amount and types of guns you get. It's when somebody feels they want to do what they're going to do. So, you know, whether it was frequency based, emotionally based, or whatever that is, to people it's like a cycle, a pattern of people getting out of control every certain amount of years, or tensions build up to the point where they feel they have to carry this out or do certain things. It's like, it's a pattern to why this is happening. And again, I think that it's been increasing just because of the frequency and the amount of stuff that's going on in here that's not positive. And people are reaching their limit of not being able to deal with or cope with, or they feel they need to make their contribution to something and throw their lives away. Or so, I mean, to me, it's a lot dealing with that. It's just, I don't think it has any, like, it's easier, in my opinion, to have concealed handguns and put them in places people are not going to see readily right away before they do what they do. You can't walk around with a shotgun or long coats during a summer day and not think you look suspicious.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? The people got their eyes on you now, or I'm gonna call, he look crazy. So let me make this call real quick. So handguns are used a lot more than assault rifles and things like that, as opposed to having the handguns because it's concealed easier.
Are you a gun owner, by the way, Chris?
I am.
Okay. Alexa, are you a gun owner?
No.
Legal gun owner? You want to?
Not at all.
Okay. Go ahead, Chris.
I just want
to say. You just a last dragon glove.
Yeah, I use the power to cheat. I hit the spirit out of your body like pow, like Doctor Strange.
Yeah. Get on up out of here now. But again, and extra clips or longer clips that come with these also, you can kind of tuck them a little better than you can with other stuff, put it that way, with longer rifles. So I don't know. I'm just, that might be a reason why. That's just my opinion. Why they're used in a lot of mass shootings.
Would you make it stringent on all guns or just assault rifles? There's a question.
Oh, okay. Real quick.
Either one of y'all, y'all can answer.
Because I think assault rifles is a bit too much because we're not fighting any wars. We're not overseas. We're not anywhere where we need that. And especially the ones that have been modified, like with the modifications done. And they have modified specifications. And so that's legal. And what's not illegal, it still kills.
Right.
But see, that's the thing. If I was in a grocery store and someone came in there and started shooting, Chris, I would want you to have a gun. Okay. Yeah. I would want you to have yours on you. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah. At least have an opportunity.
So that's the thing. You want a good guy with the gun, but we don't know who the good guys are. Right. And then sometimes the good guys snap too.
Yes.
Every now and then.
The issue.
And so that's what I'm saying. That they have look, I don't know how to say this. They have too much of a hand in everything to not be able to figure this out. They can figure this out. They can figure it out. They can put these little buzzers in there. Just like that old school game we used to play, Operation.
Mm-hmm.
They need to create a system and connect everything. Connect social media, connect your workplace, connect your home, connect everything. And if you
just need enough people to be able to really decipher and discern, even if they do the computer, because the computer might do too much.
I'm talking about they need to invest into building it. They have to build this database. It will take time and money, but I'm just saying eventually they can build this database to where everything is connected. And if you too many times, either you can't buy a gun, or they're going to come and confiscate it if you already got one.
There lies the issue. You just mentioned money. They're not, if it ain't bothering them, they're not going to delegate any money until it bothers them, until it affects their bottom line. So, like I said, if you're not going to hit the emotional strings of how it affects them and their family, then you got to hit their bottom line, those pockets.
Yeah. I definitely agree with that.
I don't know how, besides not advocating for it, violence, I don't know how that's going to happen besides that.
Right.
Because it's been happening for years. The same thing is about to happen again.
Yeah.
We're going to talk about this, and it's going to disappear. It's going to disappear. We're going to talk about it, and there's going to be probably another one that happens this year. Maybe 5 more that happened this year. Because I think,
oh Lord, I hope not.
I think the most have happened since 2000 has been in 2018. I could be wrong, but I know it's been within the last 5 or 6 years. Both the mass shootings have been at the ICE. Ain't nothing happened yet. So what's going to make it change now? Like I said, nothing. We didn't have a lot that changed for police violence. Even after George Floyd, but at least they started doing a little something. They started knocking down some statutes and start marching a little bit. But then after sports came back, things kind of went back to being the same. But that was like one point within the period of all these police shootings happening on camera that it felt like something was actually going to happen. I don't think too much happened after that, but something did happen. But it took a pandemic. Let's think about it. It took a pandemic for even people to even give a semblance of a fuck for something to even happen then. And so what in the world, do we have to have another pandemic? We got to have an Ebola virus come back and hit us 10 times harder than COVID?
Monkeypox.
That's a new one going around. Maybe monkeypox has got to take over the country before, and somehow I don't know how it's going to connect, but maybe monkeypox has to happen for us to actually care about mass shootings and something actually being done about it. Because I don't see it going to change, because we're going to put these little posts up and these little Facebook covers and rest in peace, and we're thinking about the families in Texas, but it's going to pass away because entertainment is going to take it away. We're going to think about something else. We're going to care about our bills and what's going on within our homes somewhat, because that's the reason why this even happened in the first place. Nothing's going to happen right now. I know it. It's the same routine every year. We're going to do this again. We're going to have another show based on this again, because I've already done another show on this before years ago. And it's going to keep right on happening because
it's not
emotional strings are not getting pulled hard enough. And maybe at some point you got to take that string and wrap it around someone's neck to get them to pay attention, because it's not working with this.
And we're creatures of habit, right?
Sign.
All Lex. This is all Lex's fault.
Yeah. It's, we're creatures of habit. Something may get us out. I mean, something may pull us away from what we do on a normal everyday basis for a day or two. And we may feel a certain way about certain things. But at the end of the day, we still got our responsibilities. We got certain things. And we're going to go slip right back into our routine of doing what we were doing before.
Exactly.
And
it's going to change.
It's a cycle. And one of the things that I have noticed too, right? There's, I just put this out there. There's an organization that I'm with. And there's some people in the organization who are older. They may have retired or they may have done whatever that is. So because now they're adults and they can do what they want to do on their own time. But for everybody else who is busy, have a job or multiple jobs, a lot of that strain is put on the people who are active in the organization, or the individuals who have a lot of time during the day because they are retired, right? Mm-hmm. We don't know what their routine is on a daily basis. If we do, so what? But because the precedence was set on when something happens, I'm gonna call this person, or they're going to get there first, or they're going to open up the doors. They're going to do whatever that is. And so there's no urgency for everybody else. And I'm just using the organization. So now let's talk about the people. Let's talk about the United States. Let's talk about cultures. There's certain people doing certain things. So everybody else is not going to have to pull or work as hard or do as these individuals are, because they're already doing it. Whew, I ain't got to get out there and do that. You know what I'm saying? They'll handle that. So I just think as us as a people, seeing it, going through this, tired of seeing it, we have to do our job and our push. Even if we don't go out and, let's say, if we publicly march, we need to be sending emails, letters, calling, making calls to our local public figures, those who are in office, those who are making decisions. And when their phones and emails get incapacitated or burned up to the point that they don't know what to do, they're going to get tired of the stress. They're going to get tired of people knocking on the door, people wanting appointments. They're going to get tired of it. Mm-hmm. So they're going to have to do something about it. Marching is just not enough.
No.
I mean, if you're going to use it, just like they call us, oh, we're looking for funding for blah 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 blah. It's contribution. We need to start using the phones, using our right to use their phones to put them under pressure to do something. It's not being done enough. And maybe the same people are calling and they drowning them out. So that has to be added. That has to be done in order to start making that change. You start burning down their phones, and people complaining, and your popularity
knocking on the doors
is going down, right? Your public rating is going down. Now they're going to jump up and seem, matter of fact, it's a perfect example. When the voting time comes up, now you see their faces and they're everywhere now. They're sending out stuff, I want your vote. But there's a pattern to this stuff, people. They get in office and do what they want to do, personal agenda, personal, whatever that is, up until the few months before they start happen to get reelected or be voted back in office again. It's a pattern. So that's what I wanted to say about that.
They want their yachts and,
they want that money coming in.
Yeah, their summer homes, their vacation homes, their mistresses and jewelry. And,
they want all that. Yeah. It ain't even just the rich people. It's the gun enthusiasts. You got to change their mind too.
They ain't gonna change
their mind. They're part of the voting too. You got to change their minds.
They're not gonna change their mind.
They're not going to change their mind because they're the ones who are getting the money to send to the lobbyists or put them in positions or places to carry what they want out. Now, if they cut off the amount of money that companies or lobbyists inject into the political arena, that's going to stop a lot of that stuff going on. Because back when I just remember, and let me get it right, I think it was the Reagan administration that changed they took away that cap limit. One of them presidents back then in that era took off that cap limit. Or it's either Reagan or Bush, one of them two. I know they took off that cap limit. And things really started to change in this country.
The cap limit for how many guns they could buy?
No, not the cap limit for how much money. Contributions.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
Companies and the contribution given to these people. As far as that's concerned. So once that gets taken care of, a lot is going to change. Because they don't have any incentive. There's no scratch your back, you scratch mine system. You can only do so much with that now. You can't control me or keep giving me. So
yeah, they lacing the pockets.
Yeah. Once some pockets not being laced no more, they're gonna be like,
Right.
Well, that was the beauty of, it wasn't just about marching back in the day. That's what people kind of get misconstrued. The marching is not really what changed around getting laws passed with civil rights. It was hitting the pockets. It was making people look bad and making them want to not lend their money to their services. Let's just say the bus boycott. It wasn't them just sitting off and then people all of a sudden said, you know what? Black people deserve to be on the front of the bus at any point or any time. They started hurting for money, and this came close to going out of business, or maybe some of them did go out of business. And so they said, you know what? Money over race, money, green over black right now. We don't care. We may think about what we think about them in the privacy of our home, but we can't have a home if we don't have money. So let them sit where they want to sit. And that's what's got to be done, I think, is somehow you got to hit the pockets of senators or the people who are voting for them in there that don't want to put any of these laws in place.
And vote them out. That's why they're voting on a local and on a greater level. And that's just the key. But the problem is the people who can't afford to actually be in the political race that need to be in office, some of those qualifications for them need to change as well. Because somebody who may be a great person and have, all the credentials, but may not have the financial backing and resources to actually be considered a threat or be considered somebody for the. And a prime example, there was a lady who was running here for district offices and candidates to be mayor and whatever that may be here, and she had to fight like hell to get in a position to even be seen. And then you had to add her name onto the ballot. She wasn't even on the ballot for one, but she was somebody that was out there that could be voted for. But her not having enough press, like I've had her on my platform and past platforms with other people, just trying to get that exposure out there. And again, it's rough, it's tough. And all they do, either we vote them out, they'll replace them with somebody else because they have the backing. Because we on the phones giving to these people, we're donating money to them, and they're using it to destroy you or to keep your voice where it is silent. Silence. So I don't, not unless it's somebody that I know I know will do a great job. I'm not contributing nothing to none of these clowns no more.
So none of these clowns. What up?
For sure. They are clowns.
Disclaimer.
Yeah.
That's all you, Chris. That's all you.
I'm not gonna say they are clowns. I can't do that.
It's all me.
All
it's all. I mean, that's not bad, but really, all they doing is the mannequin, the puppet. That's all it is.
It's a lot of puppetry going on. Yeah.
Yeah.
Reggie makes a great point. There's not enough people that vote in the local races because the president of the United States race is seen as pretty much a popularity contest. People don't vote based on issues. They vote on someone who looks the most photogenic and kisses the most babies or kisses the most ass, pretty much. They don't vote on issues that relate to them.
Babies.
Right. I mean, these issues that are actually brought up during the presidential race, they don't commit to those things most of the time. They say them because, again, the emotional strings, they pull on them and fall for it every time.
How many lies have we can fact check or bring up that political figures, presidents or whoever else, government officials, whoever, get caught in saying, they say, I didn't say that. I don't. Here's a clip.
And they like the Pacific Ocean with them.
Yeah.
See, roll my eyes. Too many to count. Oh my God.
So I don't know what we're gonna. I mean, I feel like there should be something that if this is what you say you're going to do in your political campaign, you need to do it. If you do not do it, then you could be voted. I mean, you could be kicked out.
You need to be chopped.
Or something needs to happen to say if you don't follow through and within your term or the first 2 years you're in office, you have to go.
Mm-hmm.
So
there should be shorter terms.
It should be shorter terms, not
Definitely.
4 and 8
deadlines.
years.
Like for instance, maybe when you run, you should have at least 3 things with deadlines.
Mm-hmm.
3 things with deadlines, not everything, but just 3. 3 things should have deadlines, because if that's that important to you and you got the resources and now you're in the position to do it, I mean, it got to be some real damn coming against you for that not to happen.
Well, look at Obama, the bipartisan. They went, come on now.
That's different. Yeah.
Now that's kind of different. But if you are in a space that you can make these moves, make the moves and do what you say you're going to do. Because the next time you come around, I don't care who it is, you're not getting my vote.
Mm-hmm.
So that's that.
Who it is, huh?
Yeah, I don't care who it is.
All right, guys. Let's go. We're going to end it on that one, and we're going to go into the other topic for tonight. And I'm gonna play the video for that one. Yeah, these young ladies who have their own podcast drew some controversy about some choice words they had to say about the late Dr. Martin Luther King in his promiscuous life that he led, along with his civil rights life.
The promiscuous life.
I'll let y'all check this clip out right quick.
Important, the fact that Martin Luther King is the man that fought for freedom, or the fact that he was cheating on his wife?
Jesus. I'm gonna give you this example. He's a great father. He's a great businessman. He's a great CEO. He's an entrepreneur. He's such a boss. He's a boss. Look at that man. He's a boss. He's a great father. Look at him, that strong black man.
Look at him being at his kid's game.
But you're cheating on your wife. You're not a good husband. But he's great in all these other aspects. How are you a great leader, a great CEO, a great black man? You're not great. You're not great. God, you're not. That is triggering.
Yeah, for sure.
I'm a good dad. You're not a good dad because you don't respect me. How the fuck you showing these kids you a good father or you don't respect their mother? You're not a great dad, my nigga. You're an okay human.
Someone being a good person to you means they're a good person to you. Someone being a good person to everyone means that they're a good person.
All right. So the question is based off of this. Okay, let me go ahead and put that out there too. Allegedly, Martin Luther King, Dr. Martin Luther King, messed around on his wife several times. That is I don't know how true that is, but I have read a lot of things that he allegedly did that.
He's a love doctor.
The FBI has records of him doing that. That they have recordings of him being at hotels with women and stuff. Disclaimer: yeah, Alexa, you're safe.
Allegedly.
Me and Chris dying tonight.
So, not I, says the king.
So let's just say these things are true. That he did mess around with his wife, and does that make him a bad man? Or does that matter in where everything lies with him and his legacy? But the main question is, does that make him a bad man? All together with everything he's done, does that make him a bad man? And Chris, I'll let you go first on this one. What is your answer?
So I want to first address for the fact that, or the first part you was talking about. No, I was like, it doesn't speak on or break down his legacy or what he's done. Nobody can do that. You can say what you want, but have any of us been strong enough to step up and do what he did in that place or in that era, that time? I don't know if I could. I might have been out there marching with him, but I don't know if I would be able to, in that leadership role, to do what he's done for the culture and what he's done for us as a whole, period. No. Did he make, it's not mistakes, but he allegedly, if that's what he's done, he had his reasons why he chose to do what he did. And he had to live with that. And if he could live with it, I mean, hey, he's a strong guy. If he could not live with it and he was going through stuff every day, yeah, not so much. But I just feel, irregardless of what he's doing, I like, as a young man, looking at what he's accomplished, what he's done, I thought he was in his late 40s or 50s. That man was in his 30s,
Right.
when he passed away.
He didn't even get 40. He didn't reach 40.
Right.
39.
So just even looking at that aspect, he was still growing as a man. A lot of men don't, he might have been strong in certain areas, that he may have been weak in that area. And who's to say that it's just what it is. I'm not going to tear him down and say, you know, he decided to do what he do, and if his wife was okay with it, whether she was or not, she still stayed with him. So it ain't nobody else's damn business.
Right.
That's their relationship. They had to work on that and do whatever that is. So I'm gonna just leave it at that, bro. And sis, I'm not gonna say because he did that he was a bad man. He just made some choices that, you know, may not have been healthy for his relationship with his wife and his family. Doesn't make him a bad person. I mean, he could be a good person, but I do like how the ladies broke it down, irregardless if they spoke from a place of pain or experience, or the dislike of how people treat it. Like, it's good, it's okay. I'm not going to say that it's okay. I'm not going to say that. But I didn't like how they had the wordplay and they broke it down, because I'm a poet and I write songs and stuff like that. And I like how they broke it down. I was like, that was intriguing to me, how they broke it down. And it just made me even look at different things differently. Like, I just remember when I was younger, right? Because I was in toxic relationships, it was tick for tat. If she made me feel some kind of way about something, or, you know, she didn't apologize about something, or we was beefing about something, I'm gonna make you pay. Like you make me pay, I'm gonna make you pay. And you know, I was like, that's not the way things should be. But being in that toxic relationship, that's what happened, and we were good with it up until the point that it wasn't anymore. So I'm gonna just let it. I'm gonna drop the ball with that. I'm gonna pass it to Alexa.
Cut it. All right, so I'm gonna say,
when you catch the ball, the disclaimer is through. It don't work no more when you catch the ball. Just let you know.
I say disclaimer because at the end of the day, none of us was the pillows or the sheets. So we really don't got hardcore evidence that he cheated. Now,
Right.
You know what?
We just going with if he did. That's what we're trying to say. Allegedly.
Okay, and if he did, what is cheating? You know what I mean? Is it a one-time thing? Did you have an affair the whole time you was Martin Luther King? You know, like what is it? I feel like it really is a measurement thing. Either way it goes, I still consider him a good man. And the reason why is because I kind of take on the philosophy as like the ancient Egyptians, you know, at the end of your life, they got to weigh the feather to your heart. That's what it is, you know, and if it's even, boom, come on to paradise. Because if he was trying his hardest, and like you said, he wasn't even 40. And we got to keep it a buck, just like you said with the pettiness.
Yeah.
You know, I was married before, and yeah, shit gets petty. And so when it get petty, you know what? You petty Pablo, I'm petty LaBelle. And so, you know, we going back and forth, ping pong, nigga. And so, you know, I'm just going to keep it 1,000. When you're young, which he had a calling on his life, but he was still young.
I mean, he was almost 40, though. Come on.
No.
Come on now.
Young.
Well, he was still, well, let's not even talk about age. Okay.
And religion.
Because you got some people over 50 that still do that. So
on the same shit.
So all I'm saying is that the thing is you got to weigh it. What he did good and did he really try? We don't really know that. And so for me, I'm going to say all we do know is what he did do. He did great things. Now, I'm not going to say he's a great man because I personally don't think nobody is great, because even the greatest person got their secrets that just never came to the light. So I don't think anybody is, you know, as they say, without sin.
For sure.
And then he's traveling. You already know how women are about men with power. I mean, come on, we know how this goes. And just because he's not the president, he still had a big following.
The ladies are going to be at.
Yeah. I got your coffee, Dr. King.
I got you.
Yeah, all that little shit. So, whatever.
I'm gonna hold you down.
Well, okay. Well,
I
here's
just think
why.
that he did enough good to where we need to not try to. Let's not reach for rope. The man gave his life to the cause.
Mm-hmm.
He lived by it. He done got arrested, beat down, and assassinated. Let that man have a good tombstone, please.
For sure.
That's it.
Rest peacefully, brother.
Now, if he sucked the titty or two along the way, that's none of our business.
So be it.
The wife stayed. Sure. Now, if she wanted to do something, she could have put him on blast.
Mm-hmm.
She could have left him. She could have left him because we don't really know. She could have called him and said, "Look, the jig is up, or you give me this much a week. You do what you do. I'll do what I do." Because I know that happens sometimes. That happens in high-profile relationships.
Imagine if that did happen, though.
The women will turn the other cheek if they get in a little, because they looking at it like, overall, you got a high position. You don't want me to fuck this up for you because I can. I mean, come on now. Look at Melania. Yeah. Melania didn't want to move in that White House. They probably made all kind of deals before she finally moved in. So that's what happens. We don't know what happened. That's a good man.
Okay. Let me hit on this for a little bit then. I'm gonna throw two things we talked about earlier tonight. We talked more about the emotion, pulling of the strings with emotion, and I'm gonna add time to this on whether to decide whether he is a good man or not. First thing I'm gonna hit with time. Time changes everybody's narrative over time. If you give somebody enough time to figure out everything you've done in life, eventually you'll go from the greatest person in the world to the worst. There's a lot of people before they actually learned about the secrets that someone had in their past, or before they committed an act later in life. Let's a la Will Smith. Everybody thought he was the greatest person in the world until time caught up. He went on stage and slapped Chris Rock, and now he's banned from the Oscars, and people are hating his next projects of movies and TV shows and just appearances in public, or even because of him, they're hating on his wife. What happened? Time and the pulling of the strings, the emotions got pulled on. Did Will Smith all of a sudden change overnight? No. He's been the same person, I think, probably at least for the last 20 or 30 years. But time caught up with him, and emotion that actually pulled on people the other way got people to change their mind. Same thing with Martin Luther King. Time came and got him. And time comes and gets all of us, whether it's an act we commit or death. Some people are bad people their entire life, and for some reason, when they die, time catches them. They go to the funeral. People are saying all the nicest things that they never said about you when you were alive, right?
Hello.
With Martin Luther King, and I'm going to pull with this with emotion, whether he's a good or bad person, I won't say they are wrong, and I won't say they're completely right. I think it depends on what emotion is strongest with you that you think makes you either hate or like him. Let's just say Martin Luther King was the best mop pusher in the world. That was his legacy. He was the best mop pusher in the world. He did nothing for civil rights. He just cleaned the hell out of the floor in the schools and kindergarten and took out the trash almost every day. And cheated on his wife. Would people be holding him in such high regard then and saying, well, he cheated on his wife, but he cleaned the hell out of that floor? I think people would be going against him, say, he is a bad guy because he really didn't contribute to much of anybody's life. It's because of the emotional string it pulled on you. To give you two great examples, Bill Cosby and R. Kelly. A lot of people, allegedly Bill Cosby messed with a lot of women, and you had separate sides. You had white people mostly going against Bill Cosby. You had a lot of black people siding with him. Why was that? I even heard people that believe he might have did a couple of them, but his contributions to Black culture via the TV show of the Cosby Show and Different World and his philanthropy work of giving to many HBCUs was enough to pull them away from the bad things that he allegedly did. R. Kelly, man has a video out there, and people were still trying to deny that he actually allegedly did this thing to girls, underage girls. But he made Chocolate Factory, and he made them want to dance. So he pulled on this emotional string of music and dancing and enjoying a drunk night with your girl or woman, whoever you're dating, versus what he did harming young girls. And some people will say R. Kelly is a good enough person because he got all this talent to override what he did to these young girls. So it's almost like it depends on your perspective. How are you looking at that person? If you look at, I'm sure most guys are not going to care so much, and not to say all women too, but most guys are not going to care so much that he cheated on Coretta Scott because of all the things he contributed to our lives and being able to change laws that make us live the lives we do today. And I'm sure there are women too that are actually looking at it the same way. It's like, okay, he may have cheated on her, but his contribution to society for African Americans override that. So why should that make him a good or bad man based on what he did there versus someone who is just the greatest mop pusher of all time? Is it still a good person, a bad person? Is it just based off of the contributions you've done to society? Or is it the act to commit? Or is it the string it pulls emotionally? The strongest with you? Because if you ask a white person probably about Martin Luther King and they hear these allegations, they're probably going to go to, especially if they hate Black people. I'm saying white people who hate Black people, not all white people, but the white people who hate Black people, and they hear this, they're probably going to say he was a bad man. Why? Because the heartstrings pulled for what African Americans went through in the civil rights era is not being tugged on. And why would it? Because they're not Black. Of course it's not. So I think it depends on perspective. Where
you violated the family and the marriage vows.
I mean, I'm not comparing this man to Martin Luther King, but Adolf Hitler. I'm sure somewhere in his life, he probably fed a hungry child that was homeless, but he also killed millions of people. Which heartstring is he going to pull on the most for most people in this world? Probably that he killed millions of people versus the people he may have fed. He made a lot of errant white people feel proud of themselves. Which heartstring is he going to pull on? That's what determines if he's going to be labeled a good or black person. I mean, a good or a bad person.
Black person.
Yeah, well, no, he kills him. But the thing is, I don't know if there's really a concrete answer to whether to say someone's a good or bad person until you found out all the evidence and all the things they've done in their lives. Because there's been a lot of celebrities that we thought were great people, and then time caught up with them, and something was told about their personal lives that we didn't agree with. And then the heartstrings will pull the other way. And then all of a sudden, after one act, they were labeled a bad person. Maybe 9% of their life, they could have been great. One act could destroy everything, from changing your mindset to whether they're good people or bad people. And like I said, I don't think no one is inherently good. I don't think people coming in, on earth and just are born to where they don't do any bad or at all. Somebody does something that is not, inherently good. So is everyone bad because they do one bad thing? No sin is supposed to be above any other sin, if we're going to look at it that way. But most people don't. Most people put values on different sins, understandably, because we have free will and we have judgmental minds. So I don't know. I don't think there is a concrete answer to whether to say he's good or bad. I personally would say, yes, he's a good guy. But he didn't cheat on me, though. He cheated on his wife. So that's up to her, on her side of the coin, to figure out whether he's a bad man or not. And I guess she stuck with him, and maybe she saw that the cause is more important than me leaving him and leaving him exposed to the FBI and all the people that were trying to expose him and bring down the movement.
Right.
That's what I have to say about that.
So I'm going to bring this really quick. Just ask you a question. Okay. So let's say if the baseball player or the female person in the music industry, she's married or she has a boyfriend or fiance, or in his same situation, he got a kid with somebody. And in order to get through that gate, he's been trying for like 10 years to get in. He got this one opportunity.
Mm-hmm.
And there's a male gatekeeper there. And it was like, show me how bad you want it. Now, are they a bad person for that? For wanting to take care of their families and live out their dream?
Mm-hmm.
Or are they a good person? You see them now. Mm-hmm. I think that would be a more relevancy right now, because I've known this has been going on for a long period of time. And whether they did it or not, that's on you. That's on the life choice that you make. Mm. Just hope that it don't get out, because now that's, again, like in Martin's situation, it may have had some effects, but it didn't destroy his family. It didn't destroy what was there. I don't know if they kept it between themselves or however that's going to be, but he still took care of his family the best way he could. He still was in his family's life up until the point that he passed away. Mm-hmm. It was taken away from us. But in other situations, the outcome might not be the same.
So I feel you.
Go ahead. Yeah. Go ahead.
No, so I was like, so is that person good or that person bad for doing that?
Yeah. What heartstring are we pulling on? It's just like an example, if someone steals to feed their hungry family. It's against the law, but they're feeding their family. Is that a good person or a bad person? What heartstring is being pulled on?
I think it's a good person. If they steal it from the grocery store, because at the end of the day, the grocery store got insurance. I feel like it don't matter though. The grocery store got insurance.
Well, if they don't have insurance.
I'm saying overall, their family ate, and no one person suffered because they have insurance. See, and this is the thing. I'm gonna give you another example. Let's go even further than that. Okay. And I'm not a religious person. I'm spiritual. I'm spiritual, but I'm not religious. But let me give you a really good example. Everybody should be able to relate to. Was Judas a good person or a bad person? Of course, everybody's gonna immediately say, "Oh, he was bad. He the one that got Jesus killed." But the thing is, we sit here and whether you're a Christian or not, the story goes that he came to lay his life down, right? And if you pay attention to the Bible, he literally gives him a cue. He gives him a cue during the supper. He's told him to do what you have to do. I don't know if people skip over that or not, but there's a part in the Bible where he literally tells him, go do what you have to do.
Because he already knew it.
Like that was his destiny.
He didn't mean it by name, but yeah, he knew who it was, though.
No. He did do it by name. I'm not.
He didn't call out Judas by name.
No, he's okay. Listen, I'm gonna tell you exactly how I studied this. So he said one person will betray me. He didn't say by name then. But there was a point in time, I can't remember which gospel it is. It's one of the 4 gospels where he actually told him specifically. He basically told him quietly, "Go and do what you have to do." Just to him. He didn't say that to everybody else.
I know what you're talking about.
So the fact that he told him to do what you got to do is basically like, oh, this is a play.
Yeah, but his intent was not to do good, though.
It's not about the intent of the thing. He says he do what you got to do.
Yeah, it is about intent.
He could have said, "Don't do what you're about to do." So it's like
Judas was shocked by that, though. He was going to do it before he knew that.
Let me make my point. He came to lay his life down. He told Jesus to do. Jesus told him to do what he got to do, and then. If you think about it, that is how so-called salvation happened. Because if it never would have happened, he never would have got caught up. So there would have never been none of this. And so the thing is,
because I think that whether he told him or not, he was going to do it anyway.
Right.
Maybe he wasn't.
That psychological warfare didn't work.
Maybe he would have changed his mind. The thing
You
is,
hear me, Lex?
what?
I said that psychological warfare didn't work.
Well, no. The point is that even Jesus at his own mouth said, "If I wanted to, I can call angels down to stop this." Yes. So it's very clear that he had to do that. All these other people were just pawns in it. Now, all these years, he was the collector of the funds.
Yes.
He worked with the rest of the disciples, which they all gave everything up. They all left home. They all followed him. They all had different jobs. So he was basically the banker for all these years doing this. Now, no, his heart was never the purest, because of course he was always saying this and saying that. But that's just the point. He was flawed, but he was still chosen. Yeah. He was flawed and chosen. Yeah. And this is how the thing, and everybody in this world is flawed. I feel like everybody is good and bad. And the only way you can say that somebody is bad or good, like you say, if you care about a certain thing. Because I'm going to tell you right now, there's some swingers out there that's going to be like, "Oh, honey, come in and make me a ham sandwich," after coming in from a wild night. So I'm just saying, like, there's people out there that wouldn't, think shit about that.
But intent has to matter, though, because while we're talking about the person stealing stealing food to feed their family, even though it's breaking a law, the intent was to feed the family. Judas' intent was not to help anybody but himself, unless he was really happy about helping, the government catch Jesus. Then maybe
but he didn't spend the money. He didn't spend the money.
He got some money.
Well, I'm just saying he didn't spend it. He brought land.
He threw it away because he felt guilty.
He brought land
about
and hung himself. And so, I feel like we have roles to play. And maybe Martin Luther King, like, whether he knew it or not, maybe he knew he was going to get assassinated before he was 40. Right. And then he's on the road all the time. See, that janitor is coming home all the time. If that janitor is cheating on his wife, he making an effort to cheat.
Clean that floor, though. We need to clean floors in schools. We can't study without dirty floors.
King is gone all the time. That's just the same thing like with these athletes or with these anybody who has to leave home for periods of time. You have a lot of wives that just look at it and say, or even girlfriends sometimes, football players, basketball players, rappers, singers, anybody who is with someone and they know you got to go out on the road all the time and you are going to basically be attracting groupies. Hell, I even had a couple of groupies in my damn day. So I'm just saying, like, I know any people can think you're coming up, okay? People can think you're coming up and become a groupie.
Yeah.
So it's come with the territory. And if you don't have, and first of all, if you're young, if you're immature, I'm not saying I partook in the groupies, but I'm just saying
I did.
I'm just saying, like, I know how people can look at you and think,
y'all some hoes.
She might blow up.
Allegedly.
Put that out there. Allegedly.
No. I'm keeping it real. I didn't, but I'm just saying it made me say wow, because people can think you're going to come up and try to get in where they fit in, and if they know you're not going to be in town long, what they gonna do?
I'm gonna hit you up.
They gonna bust it wide open, whatever it is, whether it's their wallet or whether it's something else. So I'm just like,
So would y'all have a concrete answer of what a good or bad person is? Like,
it's intention.
Yeah, intention.
It's intention.
Can one act destroy your whole life of what you've done? Like, if you've been a good person, I don't know, whatever that means, your entire Will Smith, again, perfect example, been great his whole life, and then one incident has changed people's minds of how they think about him.
It didn't change my mind.
It didn't change my mind.
Right, I understand. They're out there.
And even
I think it was stupid the way he did it, but everybody get a couple of stupids in their life. Come on.
Okay.
And the crazy thing.
What if Will Smith, the way he's been his entire life, killed his wife?
Well,
that's one act. It's just one act.
I know it's one act, but it's major.
Yeah.
It-
Okay.
It's
That's fair.
it's
murder.
It's
fair.
murder.
That's fair.
It's major. And as we've been discussing tonight, there's other options. You could leave her. You know, there could be an amicable split and just go on your way and live your life.
Mm-hmm.
But why did you have to take somebody else's life, or you felt that you needed to do this? Like I said, I've been through a lot of heartbreak. I've been through a lot of hardship in my life. And I did some great things, and I did some not so great things. The things I'm not proud of, but it still doesn't make me. I haven't murdered nobody. I haven't changed somebody's life to the point, or that, like, I didn't participate in killing nobody. No cannibalism. No, nothing like that. Would change? Yeah, because in order to do that, you really don't care about. That's a whole different aspect of, like, you're detached from feelings in people's lives,
like Jeffrey Dahmer.
Yeah, like that was a bad person. That's evil. Regardless of how you look at it, in my opinion. But I'm just saying that I haven't done it. I'm a good person, put it that way. I'm flawed, but I'm a good flawed person.
And see, I'm gonna admit that I'm not. I feel like I'm an average person. I don't even think I'm good. I think I'm just literally average. Because honestly, if I'm just gonna be 1,000%, sometimes I'm fucked up. And I do fucked up shit, and I say fucked up shit, and I mean I do. And so I gotta keep it real. And do I try to be better? Yes. But the truth is like, I know I can be real with myself. I'm not stupid, and I'm not even gonna put it on nothing else. It's me. I'm taking responsibility, regardless of how I got here today. It could be 1,000 different factors. The person I am today is nowhere near the person I could be. Mm-hmm. The fact that I'm actively striving to be that person is enough for me. Now, it's not going to be enough for a lot of people, but that's okay. For sure. Everybody ain't going to be for you. You got to be okay with that. Everybody ain't for me. It is what it is. Because sometimes you got to go through these periods. You got to go through these periods where you might be, isolated. You might be lonely, whatever. You got to go through these wildernesses. You got to go through that dark, shadow of the night, whatever. And you got to do your shadow work. So I'm going to keep it real. For the last, I want to say 5-6 years, I've been doing some shadow work. I've been doing shadow work because I know damn well the only person that can do it is me.
For sure.
The only person that can do it is me. And I still see gradual increase. But if I were to be 100% honest and say, you got 100 tickers on this thing, where are you, Alexa? I'm not going to even put myself in no damn 80 or 90%. I'm not going to do that.
Right. That's fair.
Yeah, I'm keeping it real. I'm not. Shit, I might get there when I'm like 45. I don't know.
Hey, but you making improvements.
Yeah, it's gradual improvement because it's like you don't know where somebody started from. And see, and honestly, not to even get back on religion, but just real quick, that was my biggest problem with religion. It was that I would know somebody's backstory. Right? And I would like convince them to finally come to church. And they will come there and get the hell judge out of them from day one. And then never come back. Never come back. And I'm just thinking to myself, like, do y'all know what the hell y'all just did? Like, I've been talking to this girl for 3-4 years to finally come to church. And y'all just, and see, that's the thing.
You didn't know anything about her though, right?
But that's the point. You can't.
Right. That's what I'm saying.
You can't judge nobody. You can't judge nobody. And you can't say that they're doing good or bad because you don't know where their starting place was. Just because
But if
you
you kill
feel like
children,
this is,
you eat children or eat people.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
no,
Like, I draw the line.
I'm talking about, like, for instance, there are people which
Mhm.
I consider horrible people, but still, they might have actually prostituted their own kids from 7, 8, 9.
There you
Okay,
go.
and that's all that
Fine.
person knows,
Reveal that.
and that's all that person knows. So if they live in a life of being just turned out, and then they feel like, oh, now I got my own power because I'm doing it for myself, you know, I don't got no pimp beating me up and making me take drugs. That's a step in independence, but it's still not clean. Then they say, okay, now I'm not doing drugs. Okay, now I'm just dancing. They don't realize how many steps that person took. So they can come up in a place as a stripper, and people look at them like, oh, you the lowest of the low, not knowing they done already took 8, 9 steps to even get there.
I got you.
And so that's what I'm saying. So you don't know where nobody's starting place was. And this is why I don't judge people, because I don't know where you started from. And really, it's not my business.
Right. Like, yeah.
It simply is not my business. It's not. Why am I going to focus on that? Now, if you need my help or you need my advice, that's one thing. Or if I'm invested into you as a friend and we are actually like supposed to be really pouring into each other, that's different. But if we're not on that level, like, why do you care? Why?
Protection. Let's say, remember that teacher from Seattle? Yeah, I know you probably heard about Alexa. What are they? Mary Kate.
Let's not go there, please. I don't even want to talk about that.
All right. Well, see, before that act was committed between the young man, I think it was in middle school, I've been high school. Before that act was committed, I'm sure she was looked at as a pillar of the community and looked at as a good person. And that one act changed everything. Let's take it to R. Kelly. R. Kelly, I've heard things about his childhood, that he was molested and his whole family was molested by some aunts and uncles, whatever like that, allegedly. Put that out there. But the thing, and people would have felt sorry for him before they heard all this stuff that came out, recently, whatever, about him messing with underage girls. But people would have considered him a good person before all that stuff came out. And what changed it? It took one act to sully his whole persona, basically. Does that make him a bad person? Can he recover from that? Because there are people who've, been molested or whatever and came out into, society and have tried to change their ways or whatever, or have tried to change how they do things, but they're forever going to be deemed a molester because of that one act. Does that one act, or does it depend on the act, make that person a bad person their entire life? Because again, we all have done something that we are ashamed of.
I don't think it makes him a bad person, but you're not going to be around my child.
But see, then you think of him as a bad person then?
No,
right?
that's not.
No.
True. I think there's
that's
redemption,
your
but
child.
you're just not going to be around my child. Now, if we could work together,
you don't
we might could even go out and have a drink. But my point is, I don't trust you around my child because you have not, in my mind, proven to me to be trustworthy in this area.
Could he ever?
Everybody has areas. Everybody has areas that they're not up to par in. If you can't be trusted around kids,
to you though?
If you can't be trusted around kids,
could you ever be? Yeah, could you ever be proven that though?
It depends.
I don't think so.
It depends because, like, for instance, let's talk about this. Kids molest kids all the time.
True.
And that's usually because one of them was molested. And then, of course, they don't know how to process that. And they might be, a couple of years older than some other kids. And now they're up here trying to experiment with that. That happens a lot in families.
Right.
People don't talk about that. So
now
you got so-and-so who was touched, at 9, 10, 11, 12. Now he the oldest of this other house, and they all getting babysitted. They all 9 and 10. Him being 12, 13, and then being a couple years younger, he trying to show them what to do. Because the thing is, their minds is not developed yet. So it's like, if an adult did this to me, it must be okay. it must be what adults do. This ain't no different than us pretending to be adults, or playing church, or everything we did as kids, pretending to be doing. Any kids always pretend to be adults. So I'm just saying, like, this kind of thing happens all the time. Now, if they do that and somebody gets caught, if somebody gets caught or something like that, next thing you know, this kid is labeled a sex offender, because he could have been doing it for 3 or 4 years. But the thing is, he's not really a sex offender. He's a victim that just never got treatment. I feel like that person can be rehabilitated. So you have to do it case by case. You have to do it case by case. Now, somebody goes their whole life with these urges, and now they 40, and all of a sudden they pull up in a white van and snatch somebody waiting on a school bus. That's totally different. So you have to do it case by case, because I do remember, which was the craziest thing ever, a girl literally being snatched 3 doors outside playing, looking for the girl everywhere. She ended up being 3 doors down when they found her body. 3 doors. So this is just, playing in front of your damn yard. 3 doors down is where they freaking found this little girl. And, they ended up redoing the park right across the street and her name and all that. But it just reminds me, like, it's the slight of anything. You know what I mean? Can you imagine that? Can you imagine to say?
That's why I said you couldn't trust them. That's why I don't know if I could ever say they're a good person. That's my personal thing. Maybe that's just my hang up. But
I'm not saying that.
Incident,
I'm saying
if I could trust somebody like that, then I could never give them the title of good person.
I'm saying somebody with that title is not always a danger or a bad person.
But we don't know that, though. See, that's the other hard thing. We don't know what's in somebody's heart. They could change. Right.
You can be a 20-year-old dating a 16-year-old. And mentally, you literally on her level. She could be a dropout. Y'all could both be running the streets all day. You 20, she dropped out. She could have lied and said she's 18. Then bam, you get busted, or the mom finally wants to bring her back home.
That's different.
No, I'm saying that stuff happens, and then they get on these lists.
We're talking about intent, though.
But there is intent with that to some degree, because I know you talk about on a mental level, because I know some people who been in that situation. But when the time came down, the law says, and it was brought out in the public that the person did consent to whatever was going on between them, and they had an age difference between them. But by law, it still says this process has to happen. So on an individual basis, do you think that the law needs to be changed to say that this 18-year-old in this certain state couldn't be with somebody who was 16 or 15 and a half, 15, whatever that is? It has to be a certain age difference. And they got prosecuted and it wasn't warranted. So, I mean, that's a different scenario, but it happens. And they get on, like you said, they get on these lists and they're looked at as bad. And especially from people who don't know the whole story and just know, oh, he was just with that. They're going to look at that totally different than knowing the whole story and what happened. And sometimes even because of your skin color, people just don't care. Like, oh, no, you just bad. See, I told you.
But there you go right there. Some people look at just skin color. You ain't got to do anything.
You got to do nothing.
You label a bad person just because of that.
Yeah. So
you ain't got to do anything. Just go outside. Look at Michael Vick. Michael Vick, that thing happened with him with the dogs and killing the dogs. That happened, what, over 15 years ago?
Or more than that.
And people are still holding his feet to the fire. People still protesting outside of stadiums. He don't even play anymore. He's just an analyst now, and it's still holding his feet to the fire. They won't let it go. They still think he's a bad person. He went to prison. He paid all the fines. He's even been an advocate for pets, for dogs. He even owns a dog now. But people are still against him. They're holding that against him. Like, they won't let it go because of that one act. That may be the only thing he's ever done. Does that make him a bad person in their eyes? They'll never let it go. And that's not even a human life.
It's
You
the
know,
power of the people who care the most. The people who care the
Mhm.
most, how much power do they have? Because dogfighting and all that, let's just keep it real. It was popular
It's
in the
been going on for
hood.
centuries. It's
It
been
was
going on
popular in the
before the
hoods, and
hoods.
everybody who had a big backyard, probably if you was, one of them type of dudes or whatever, you was having dog fights back there. And I remember growing up where people was doing dog fights. So, I'm gonna tell you right now, like there was restaurants that got busted for not selling chicken that was supposed to be chicken,
oh
and they
Lord,
got to open back up
what
after
were
being
they
busted
selling?
for selling a totally different kind of meat that was
What,
not chicken.
tell me what was it? What kind of
It
meat?
was
It was a
it was
rodent.
Well,
It was
it
a
was
rodent.
cat. It was cat and rat.
No, I'm
now,
serious.
those are bad people. Those are they go
Those
straight.
are
They
bad
got
people. Yeah.
they got busted and then was able to reopen. So
Mhm.
it's like animal rights people. Even they got favorite animals. Even they got favorite animals because certain
So
animals they're not gonna give a damn
Ooh,
about. You
mhm.
know,
that you know what? There you go, right there.
That's a good point.
People love cats. People love cats as their pets. Another part of society eats them. Are they bad people? Or are they good people? Or it's just a matter of where they grew up at?
Matter where they grew up
right?
because
It's
people eat
all about
bugs.
where
They're
the
like,
Yes,
oh,
heartstrings is
cows are
pulling at.
sacred in some places.
Right.
mhm.
Pigs
Yeah,
are
they're
sacred in
sacred.
some
We love them as
places.
pets. They eat them. Some people
Right.
eat dogs and we keep them as pets. And we look at them as like they're the scum of the earth.
Yeah.
All about perspective and where the emotional heartstring is being pulled on.
Mhm.
Mm-hmm.
Are they
Let me
bad
tell you
people or
something
is it
over here.
all about how we look at things?
And can you
Okay.
imagine that? Can you imagine going to a country and you just want to do a nice little luau or something, and they're ready to
Mm.
crucify you because they like, no,
Yeah.
you ain't.
That's
And
why
then now
you
you
got to
come
do
over
your
here and we
research.
like, you're not gonna kill this dog because
Yeah.
it
We
was it
eat
was it
cows.
was it was
We
dog
eat
meat and
cows.
it was dog, rat, and cat meat that they was using.
India looks at a cow as a sacred animal, and we
Right.
eat
I'll
And
tear a beef rib up.
it.
So,
Mhm.
do y'all remember this military guy that got brought up on charges because he was trying to protect this little boy? He was over Saudi Arabia somewhere,
Mhm.
and they had this little boy chained up, and the soldiers, they was over there working with these soldiers over there. And I don't know if it's their culture. I mean, their culture, but I know it happens a lot over there where they mess with little boys.
mm,
And the American guy who is not a part of that culture was there, and he was just like, he woke up one night and he was like, "Damn!" I mean, these other American soldiers and commanders, people walking around watching this happen. This boy is chained up to the damn pole, and soldiers running up in this little boy, and he's like, "Yo, what the hell are you guys doing?" You know what I'm saying? Like, "Yo, stop that! Don't do that!" And somebody else did it, and he beat the dude to death, and
wow.
he got charges brought up on him because of that.
Mm.
You know, the boy asking somebody to help him. You know, he's screaming and crying, but nobody's doing nothing. I thought that was the worst. You know, he got brought up on war crimes. He finally got exonerated, but initially, you know, they was out to put him away.
That's a whole other thing. I can't even get into that. The crazy thing is I just had a conversation about this a week ago. Yeah, it does happen over there. And
Mhm.
and the honestly, like I know someone who is married to someone in the military, and they were taught that our military was having such a hard time trying to speak with these guys. Like they had to work with them because they were just like, we're trying to work with you, but you can't do this. And
Mhm.
their argument was, hell, it happened to us. It's their turn. And so
Mm.
it's been going on for so long. And really, and I'm not trying to talk about nobody's culture or nothing like that, but the finger is really pointing on the fact that the women can't even leave the house. They can't leave the house. They can't show themselves nothing. So these, never mind, because I don't want to get
Uh,
backlash. I'm just
I
saying
feel you.
there's a documentary on it. There's a documentary on. I don't know if it's still on Netflix or not, but it goes deep into this. I mean, it's like a 2-hour documentary, and it goes deep into it. And I mean, even people going undercover. There's even people going undercover, so you see live footage. And so basically, these people, like these little boys, are like just
You
like
treat them like little girls.
Yeah, they treat them like little girls here. Like little girls that get turned out in the hood. That's how they treat these little boys. The little girls are in the house. Of course, they get married off at 12 or 13 and 14. But the little boys that's just roaming around, those are the ones that's getting snatched up or, either, prostituting or dressing up like they call lady boys or whatever. And, they do all this stuff and it's like bad over there. And I heard this from directly out the dang horse's mouth one time from somebody that's from over there. And they told me, they was like, it's bad. And I'm like, but why? And they're like, well, think about it. And women can get stoned to death, beat, whatever, if she dares go out and do this. But the truth is, these guys still have their urges or whatnot. And unfortunately,
And they come home to their wives.
That's exactly. And that's what the freaking event. So my thing is like, you might as well let the hoes go out if that's the case. The grown ones, grown ones that want to do it. Because now you up here messing up these little boys' lives. When there's plenty of grown folks that will willingly do it.
Yeah.
So, yeah, and it's heartbreaking.
Yeah.
Let me tell you something. I could barely even finish that documentary.
Yeah, it's
I
terrible.
couldn't even finish it because it was just like you listen to them and then, it's like they get broken. And then after that, they get on heavy drugs. And then, it's either they die early. I mean, it's just so sad. Or else they just turn all the way out and like dress up, for them and all this. Like, I don't know.
It's all for money, power, and control.
You just made me flash back to that damn. Hold up, let me take a damn drink. The documentary is like it's 2 hours long. It's like 2 hours long, and let me tell you, it's one of the hardest things I've ever watched in my life.
What's the name of it?
I don't remember, but I'll find it. I'll send it to you. It's like they go undercover and everything.
They're going to poor neighborhoods too. And families who can't.
It's not even just in poor neighborhoods. Even in the rich ones, they have these little rooms. They have these rooms where these even powerful men sometimes get together, and they'll have a couple of them come in there, and it's all secured and everything, and they'll come in there and like dress up and do the little show and all this kind of stuff. And I'm just thinking to myself, like, you mean to tell me there ain't no damn hoes available? Like some grown women at work. Yeah.
All right.
All right. Yeah, bro.
Let's wrap it up, guys. It's going to end up on that note. Shoot, we've been doing that for a minute. All right. Doing good show tonight, guys.
Oh, damn. So did have a long show, didn't we?
Yeah. Appreciate y'all for getting very good perspective on what y'all were talking about. We only had 2 subjects. So just think about that too. And look how long we were talking about that, with the mass shooting and Martin Luther King and all. But yeah, good talk, guys. Good point of views. I definitely left away with some stuff from both of y'all, and hope the audience got to hear what we had to say and open up some dialogue on what we should or could do to help with these mass shootings stopping across the country, United States, that is. But appreciate y'all for tuning in for another episode of Hostile Therapy.
And thank you for having us.
Next Thursday at 7 p.m. And we'll get some more Hostile Therapy, not because you want it, but because you need it. And we will see y'all next week.
Bye.
Peace.
Love you.